Hello and welcome to the Spotlight review of AEW Forbidden Door. I'm Benno.
And I'm Gareth.
And I managed, Gareth, to both remember the name of the pay-per-view this time, as opposed to in our messages this weekend, and also managed to turn off the quiz intro that I thought was going to play again then with me getting beat up in wrestling, mate. So there you go. Two technical feats achieved here, saying that the outro might play when we're done, but little bonus for people anyway. You didn't catch the quiz at the weekend?
Work of art, mate, putting that together. It was like one of the highlights of my weekend, that, so I wouldn't have been disappointed if that had actually been kept on there. Absolute gold dust from you there. But yeah, you did have me slightly confused all weekend when you kept talking about Double or Nothing reviews and things, and I was thinking, are we supposed to be doing some retro podcast or something like that I've totally missed or something? Like
everything with us, the work became the shoot, which then later became the work, because like Matty just assumed also I was just joking, trying to get him to do a Double or Nothing, probably 2025, maybe even 2024 review at this point, but no. Turns out as well, I just looked at the show notes that I've just updated for Forbidden Door, and apparently for Double or Nothing last time I called that Dynasty, so really they just don't matter, mate, the names of the it's the AEW pay-per-view that Gareth has got to literally book days off work to get the 6 hours in. Such a professional that he is to get in. So yeah, I don't think the names matter anymore. But no, like you mentioned it there, but obviously, and if people don't know what we're talking about, we did do the grapple quiz at the weekend. It was my turn to host as such. You can probably guess what the rounds were. Might have been something Ring of Honor related. Might have been some CM Punk. Might have been some Shawn Michaels. Might have even been a lot of questions about, well, me personally. But, you know, we still had a good time. And obviously, if you haven't checked it out already, our live patrons got to play along with us on Sunday night with a nice, breezy 3-hour quiz before the 6-hour AEW pay-per-view. Maybe I should shut up about that, but it seemed like everybody doing it with us live had a good time. And obviously, yeah, if you're not too late, you can join on the audio, or you can watch the video replay, and there is a link there for you to play along and get stumped with the multiple troll questions, Gareth, that I laid landmines for both you and Matty.
Oh yeah, it's I don't want to blow too much smoke up your ass after the brilliant video that you put, but the quiz itself, the format that you did, and just having everyone like playing along, like live, like listening along and playing.
That's the way for the future, isn't it?
It just made it so much smoother and so much slicker. It was just like a better experience. And yeah, even if you normally listen to these shows on like audio podcast players and things, just watch it kind of, because it just works. It just adds so much, adds to it with the visuals. There's a few things along the way where I thought, when you said it was a Brit Rest round, and I was thinking that was where I was going to claw some points back on Matty, but I didn't realise that I was sharing the quiz with Benson Richards' biggest fan, you know. So
he did do well on that round. He did
absolutely smash that round out of the park, didn't he? So yeah, I think I said on the show, I look forward to paying a visit to his Alan Partridge style room, of his Benson Richards style room that he's got in his basement or something like that, where he's got all posters of you and all constant video screens of all your previous matches going, cage match printed out on the wall and everything like that, because it felt like he must have done to get full marks on that round.
Look, as he said on the show, he paid good money to see me wrestle, so, you know, somebody had to. And I'm still convinced that one of the other lads probably paid for him to be there. But he was there. That's the most important thing for some of those. So maybe he had an unfair advantage. But you did pretty well yourself, mate. It wasn't. I did make the ROH questions I thought were easy. It turned out they were very much sickos questions, because I think even Platt was struggling with a couple of them in the chat. But they're not all like that. There's all kinds of general knowledge stuff in there, as well as, like I say, a Brit Red round for people to check out. So, Joe, generally, if you weren't there live for it, definitely still check out the audio afterwards. And of course, there'll be more where that comes from. We've obviously got the Grapple mixtape coming up at the weekend, which is roughly a World Cup qualifiers / June / July mixtape. Pretty sure we got that worked out now. We'll have probably in the next 24 hours or so, we'll have the matches up on the Patreon for that as well. And then, yeah, before we know it, it will be another month. It will be a fresh month in July with all kinds of other stuff to go on as well. But yeah, the only other plug I'll just throw in very quickly, because we have got a long pay-per-view to get to. If you are looking for specifically, I'd say Matty's thoughts on WWE Night of Champions. We did do that on Sunday. We did it on the pre-show to the quiz. But the pre-show, if you don't know, and you're somebody who isn't a patron or isn't a YouTube member, the audio version always free on the Patreon. Just need to sign up for a free membership, and you can check that out over there. And hear us have something of an argument, but maybe fine. Some areas of agreement as well. Maybe after that Raw last night, maybe I'll disagree even more next time I speak to young Matthew. But you can also get the video version of that by becoming a 99p YouTube member as well. But we are here for the proper stuff, Gareth. We're here for the stuff again. The work has been worked here, mate. Matty gets a 2-hour pay-per-view, and you get the 6-hour one. But how did you get on with it, with fitting this all in? I've got to be honest. Like, I'm living a charmed life here, mate. I'm loving it. With the time difference, I don't really watch the shows live anymore. I now feel the pain of you and JP the day after trying to fit it in. I've got nothing else to do. I've got kids and a fucking job to do it like you, and I'm cutting it up into manageable chunks. I've turned the big cake into just a little cake, and I'm watching, like, I'll watch the pre-show here, I'll watch the first few matches here, I'll go out for a walk, I'll come back, then I'll watch the rest of them, then literally I'll watch the last 3 matches today. That might be the survival tactic for it, but yeah, it has, especially now that obviously, monthly pretty much, and we are pretty much hit over the head. Every 4 weeks, I'm giving you the back signal to come in and do these shows. It is coming around a lot faster, mate. But did you manage to get it all watched today? I say that knowing the answer because I know you were on my AEW, which worked quite well for me this time. But yeah, it was definitely a lot to fit in here on a Tuesday.
Oh, definitely. Like, as you say, I ended up looking at it and I was like, this is just day off work stuff. There's no way I'm fitting this in any other way, kind of, especially when you sort of, you're looking at things where there was the, good World Cup games on. You had definitely wanted to watch both of them, so there was not a chance.
That was the competition.
I was watching it Monday night, but yeah, I think I was just saying to you off air, wasn't it? Just I needed to do like an hour and a half of work this morning. I had to do a 1 hour meeting this afternoon, but then the rest of a working day was just taken as time off, and then still struggling literally right down to the last minute here. So I don't know if that's a good selling point, isn't it? That is our pay-per-views are as long as a working day, basically, to get it watched and get it done. But I got it done, mate, as you'd be delighted to know, including the pre-show.
We'll save the best for last. We'll go through the pre-show at the end. I did manage to squeeze that in myself as well. But with so much to go into, usually we start at the top. But mate, there were 3 main events for this pay-per-view. Such was the magnitude of Forbidden Door. And again, if you want to hear our lack of excitement going into this pay-per-view, you can hear it on last week's live or the weekend show. But once we did get there, we'll probably get through it overall. An enjoyable pay-per-view with a little bit of work somewhere in the middle. But we'll find out what Garrett's overall thoughts are. But we'll start with the big stuff. We'll start with the triple-decker main event, a.k.a. Tony Khan doesn't have a main event, so there's 3. But I think most of them delivered. I think a high percentage of this 3 here. We'll get into which ones did and didn't. But yeah, we don't often start with AEW women's division stuff, but this was the first of the 3 main events, was the Owen final on the women's side, mate. So let's start there. It's Mercedes Mone and Maya World was the final, and I'm certain, mate, you haven't just finished the pay-per-view a few minutes before we went live. You're not aware that a lot of people are talking this up possibly as the match of the show. I'm not sure if I'd go that far, but that we talked a lot last week about the Maya World story and what's going on there with the tournament, and obviously here and Mercedes both being people who weren't advertised at the start of the tournament, being in the final here. And I don't think I'll go as far as some of the people who were saying that maybe she should have gone over here. But what I will say for this match, exactly what it should have been for me. Like a basic match in a lot of ways. It felt like the early stages of it. It was really like it was a training school match. It was like bit of shine for the babyface, bit of heat for Mercedes, hope spots peppered in there, very basic stuff. Bit of heat, bit more heat, and then the big comeback. And I felt like in this match, initially the crowd were quiet with Maya World. But once they got to, like, I call them the Kurt Angle rounds in these matches, once they got past that basic structure and they've done that good work to make her the underdog in the match, felt like the pops just increased through each false finish in there, like peaking really with the roll-ups in this one. Obviously, I think at the end of the day, as we all predicted, Mercedes was going to be going over here at the end of it. But, like, for me, Maya World looked fantastic in defeat, as good as she's ever looked in AEW. And overall, the right move for me, and just a very, very enjoyable, like almost boots and trunks match for me until they got to those last stretches. But what say you of it? And yeah, we can obviously break down the match in its entirety as well.
Yeah, well, obviously, with me finishing watching the pay-per-view about 7 minutes ago or something, however long we're into the show now, I've got no idea of what the opinion in the wider wrestling sphere is on this one. But fuck me, I love this match. Like I enjoyed it so much. And then, like you say there, just there's almost that element of it being like you're saying, a training match at the start or an element of boots and trunks or something like that. To me, this was just a proper wrestling match. It was a proper match that just had that story running through it, start to end, and it was just that kind of demonstration that it almost didn't. The moves with a Z almost don't matter to some degree. What was placed in there, the work and what was included in there could have been simple as anything, but just the story that they just told along the way, and from start to end, it just worked so well. I just thought, and it was one where they just set it up brilliantly. And naturally, obviously, the real life situation with Maya World, just it's one of those situations that is there, and they've obviously capitalized on that, building it into the story. I think then building in alongside it the whole thing of Mercedes being Maya World's idol and the person that she'd looked up to the most. So you almost had that double-edged element to the story, just going into it with the promos, with the pre-match build-up. But again, they just lent on that within the match so well. It just meant that everything that happened just felt like it meant more. Again, even the basic stuff felt like it just meant so much more. And this idea of I love that quote from Maya World before the match where she just talked about I think I've watched every match she's ever had, and then the way this started with she looked genuinely nervous, and she probably was genuinely nervous. Biggest match of her career, put in that position, standing there in the ring before things started. That just was, that just added something. It just made it have that element of realism. But then when they started, and there's just the immediate quick pin attempts from Maya, and then she's countering Mercedes all the time, and she's evading her offense and things like that.
Doing the pose.
Frustrating her. It just, I'm your biggest fan. I've seen every match kind of thing. I know what you're going to do before you know what you're going to do, and things it just sort of laid the table there at the start of the match fantastically, and that just built and built.
Yeah, I love that. Like I say, starting with her going for those quick wins, just trying to get it right away, but then also, like you say, Pepper and Mercedes stuff, going for the statement maker herself in there as well, just again, like you say, proving that point that she is a fan, and she's also there, and she's gonna try to be Mercedes equally, and I think that followed through into she got that. When I say it's like a basic structure of a match, that was kind of her shine moment in the match. But then I think the thing that anchored at least those early stages is then when Mercedes takes over, and you get that little, literally, it's like I say, training school, because it's literally what you're taught. Your big shines, the important point for the babyface. Then the heat takes over, the heel takes over, slows down the pace. There was a lot of targeted submissions in there. I'm sure you were loving in there. You got your little peppered in Maya hope spots with the suplex in there as well. And Mercedes, a lot of it was the targeted, and I love this, the over and over spamming of going back to the Meteora in just different circumstances, whether it be on the apron, whether it be on the floor, whether it then be back in the ring, all leading to try and go the straight jacket there. But throughout it all, and you can tell this is Mercedes being quite given here, knowing the results of the match, throw it, peppering in, those hope spots that are exactly what they're advertised as, the sunset flip, the tombstone reversal Maya goes for, but then gets caught with the stomp. It's all, as you say, just building this idea of wanting people to go with this Maya World real life story and wanting her to compete with this person as they've just seen her do. I just think it was just, like I say, the basics, but I don't mean that as a slight, just done so well by Mercedes here.
And then around those hope spots that you said were put in place there, I think where you had that Mercedes going from frustration to then when she had that element of greater dominance there, then the arrogance starting to filter through, So you had that where she was where Maya World was out of it on the outside, and she was doing the 10 count with the fans, and then goes out at the net because Aubrey's not counting because she's almost checking on Maya World, so she does the count anyway to almost show how easy this is before not giving them the 10 and going outside and getting her. Then when she's back in, when you mentioned there after the tombstone attempts where Mercedes has hit that double stomp to the stomach, and then again the arrogance coming through the look at you, you'll never beat me, and it was almost we'll always mock kind of the talk to your hand stuff, but that didn't feel like talk to your hand stuff. That felt like proper heel work. Just really,
it's old school as it gets.
Absolutely, it just the arrogance bleeding through, and then also it really ramped up Mercedes as the heel, because you're buying into this real world, my world story kind of thing, and it just showed that even though she's in there with her, she's not giving her it. She's not going to like pander towards her because she's a fan, or she's this up and comer, or because of real life situations and stuff like that. She's like, no, I'm fucking better than you, and I'm going to beat you, and you think you deserve to be here in this ring with me. And that just filtered through like so well too. That I just think it even ramped up the Mercedes as the heel dynamic like even more. So it was just a perfect mix there.
And I think it works so well in setting up the full on fight back, this full on comeback from Maya World, hitting stomps of her own, and hitting that kick combo and Seguri drop kick. There was a Shining Wizard in there, all of which was getting some of a reaction and an earned reaction because of what came before. And again, peppering in the story there as well. She's doing all that stuff and she's getting some big wins. But I don't even know if this was on purpose. But like when she hits the Shining Wizard and Mercedes too close to the ropes and the commentary's pointing that out, going, that's her inexperience. It's like, okay, that makes sense too with everything. She's put it together, but she's not quite put it together. But then on that meta level, to me, that is where, obviously we've kind of done the ground. We built the house. And then it's time to kind of go crazy and go into like that big finish and stretch and go to those big near falls we can get into, because honestly for me it was the perfect example of a match where every near fall built on itself. Like every reaction throughout it got louder and louder. You have Mercedes with the Three Amigos and the frog splash stuff coming back to, obviously then the momentum swings again. You get the reverse roll up from My World that gets a little bit of a pop. And then she does a combo moves with a tope and 3 versions of that sack of shit bridge that she does. The third one sending her to the outside again, a little bit of an experience. Even slipping on the swanton kind of adds to that meta story of that experience. But then the swanton near falls a little bit louder, and it just keeps going up, doesn't it? From there, it's like each time she gets that bit closer as the build to those more those closer near falls near the end, like the roll up near falls. It's all building on itself, and just perfect as far as if you wanted to make a star here. These are, I call them the Kurt Angle rounds. These are the rounds where that star is made, isn't it? And you can feel people go from almost charitably cheering for her to genuinely being invested in this long closing stretch.
And that's it. And that point of getting there as well, they still, with that dominance, they still just peppered in them counters as well. So the counters that you'd seen earlier on, you still had things here you mentioned they're going for the frog splash, her getting her knees up there. You mentioned, she's putting the statement maker. Maya's immediately pushing off the ropes in a reversal for 2 before we get into the them sack shit drops that you referenced there. Then right through into evading power bombs that Mercedes was going for into that point as well. And there was a certain again, there was that part of me watching the match. I was like, is this sloppiness real and part of the story at some points here, or there was some elements there that were a little bit rough around the edges that I was thinking, is this on purpose, or is this just because she's a bit rough around the edges? And it was probably a little bit of both, I think, in some instances. But again, it was that. I'll always throw this line back in sometimes of, Joe Lemon talking about, perfection and imperfection. And if anything, it added something even more to this kind of thing, because the way that, the way that some things were evaded, they weren't as smooth as silk and things, or the way that My World was hitting something wasn't particularly, it wasn't clean as a whistle and things like that, which, again, it just made it feel a bit raw. It did feel a little bit more sort of student and teacher there, but, coming back into that finish there where, there was the sort of towards the finish when Mercedes hit that money maker and Maya kicked out, crowd that right there at that point.
Another level up, isn't it?
Absolutely, just really, really turn things up. And then you got a countering out of the second, because Mercedes couldn't believe that she kicked out. You then had Maya though countering again out of that second attempt into the cradle for the near fall there. And I was off at that point. This was point of the whole pay-per-view up to that point for me. This was where I was like, fuck, I'm so deeply into this match here. They've took me along for the ride, and I'm so invested here. And then, you know, obviously that's when Maya then got on the back of that. She started to just get that little run, didn't she, with the sunset bomb from the apron to the floor. She hit that moonsault to the floor. She landed the moonsault in the ring that you then got the Mercedes kick out at 2. And I think at that point I was thinking, maybe she will win. Maybe, like, you know, they had me along for the ride there of thinking from the start, well, of course Mercedes wins, but they hooked me in there. They did a good job, a good and proper job there of you know, taking you in and just getting you lost in the match right up to that kick out.
And that's the thing as well. It's like, that's kind of the question, isn't it? Because I think a lot of people are almost, you know, again, use the phrase again, getting worked into a shoot there. Like, there's a Brian Alvarez video I just saw on YouTube, and it's like capital letters, you know, Mercedes should have lost. And it's like, are we getting worked by the match here, though, folks? Because it's like, you know, you said, like, there is still those rough moments. I feel like the bit you mentioned earlier when Mercedes is going for that power bomb and she just can't get it. Like, she took it like 3 times, and she did the sunset instead, which is a perfect mirror image, like you say, to when Maya Wilf hits her own version on the outside. That felt a little bit like that was probably a shoot there. You know, this is, you know, people can't lie either. Like, is this? For most people, this is going to be the first time they've seen Maya Wilde show out to this point. I don't think any of those people would have said, I don't think, at least going in, that she should, like, the emotional story, like, you know, I'm not black-hearted, it's a horrible, you know, real-life situation and a nice story you can play into, but I'm not sure on the TV it kind of had the cachet going into this that you could pull the trigger. I feel like a lot of it's hindsight, because for me, I think her losing here, I know it's easy to say, but I think a losing here was the story, you know, like you say there, going 1-for-1 and reversing the money maker, and I always want to call it a Mone maker, because Mone and money are 2 different words. Mercedes apparently doesn't seem to know that, but anywho, but like keeping up with her there, you know what I mean, and staying in the statement maker and trying to, you know, hitting her own statement maker even, and reversing Mercedes one, and then fighting to the ropes and still refusing to die, and like you say, getting that last gap roll up, but then before she then herself gets rolled up, it's like the most nearly win you can give someone in the position she's in the AEW roster compared to where Mercedes is, in a way. And this isn't always the case. Bookers work themselves into a shoot, believing this is the case, but absolutely here, you've achieved the aim of giving Mercedes the win and going forward, whatever we're planning with Mercedes for Wembley, which is the right direction, biggest star in the division. But you've also made someone there. Obviously, we always say, and Matty will make fun of us for, the follow-up is very important here with her. But I think this was the making of Maya Wilde. I don't think it would sully a winning here, but I don't think it'd really be any better. I think this achieved everything that they wanted there. You know, even the fact that Mercedes had to do that like extended version of the old bank statement to finally put it away. I think they gave her enough there that's the reason we're all talking about her. That's the reason people feel passionate that she should have won. But you need to bottle that and take that forward, I think, rather than it being a knock on the match.
Oh, 100%. There's not a world for me where she should have won. Like, not a my world, mate. Where she should have won. But you don't need to win, do you? Like, we say this all the time. It's wrestling. You don't need to pin somebody's shoulders to the mat for the 1, 2, 3 to come out of it better than you were when you walked up that ring to enter the ring. It's all about the work that happens to get the crowd invested in you, to get that feeling of emotion, to get that feeling of you've moved somebody on to the next level. And like, this was as good a job I've seen in victory of somebody putting somebody over and making them feel significantly more by the end of it. And again, right through to that finish, the fire when Maya's crawling for the ropes, and then, you know, when Mercedes traps one arm and you think that's it, kind of thing, and then when she traps the second, and then you then get that reversal and it's like, how much fight has this girl got? Like, you know, you're like, go on, girl, kind of thing. You're with her, and then she loses. You know, she loses, and like you say, it's the deepest statement maker ever. It's probably the deepest one that I've ever seen. So it's the most severe one she's ever had to apply in her entire career to get the win over somebody who nobody knew she was. You know, the mass majority of the audience 6 months ago, 4 months ago, whatever. You know, it's somebody there who's suddenly been like elevated into that into that position, and like, God, you've got to give Mercedes so much credit here. my God, she's good. She's absolutely amazing. And like you say, it all depends on the follow up that comes with it in terms of Maya World and where she goes next. But the big star, the real star, is Mercedes, and I think Maya World was elevated by this match, but I also think Mercedes was elevated by this match in the way that she was able to work with Maya World, but the way she was able to work this crowd and be so heelish, and right to the end, even when she got the win and just headed straight up that ramp for the belt, I was like, oh, what a heel, what a fucking asshole. You're not staying around to your biggest fan, you're not staying around there to give her a little hug and a pat and share the glory in the ring or anything like that. No, kind of, you're right out and right up the ramp, because that's who you are as the character, and it just it almost prevents slipping into too many niceties towards Mercedes as a character for a bin back and the delight of that. It just makes you feel like, what a bitch, what a baddie, kind of, and again, I love that side of it too. And honestly, what a great time I had watching this match. I loved it.
Fantastic. And obviously, we can talk later when we get to Tekla, what comes next for Mercedes, what does Wembley look like if she is this heel. Probably not going to be a heel versus heel match, but we'll get there when we get there. But two Platts points in the chat there as well. Does feel where it's going for Maya World is the Athena stuff, because obviously they had that post match and interrupting Renee, and she does have Power Rangers voice there, mocking heel promo that she often does Athena, which I'm not a big fan of, but setting up or paying off at least, as Platt says here, the ROH story that I think, again, if most people are honest with themselves, coming out of this pay-per-view as Maya World fans probably weren't aware of, but perfect, sets it up as she's the only reason that Maya World got where she is. There you go. There's your follow-up there, isn't it? Set up for her. So easy places to go afterwards as well. Just overall, just a great bit of business for me. I don't know if you dare to throw a star right now at it or have anything else on it before we move on to the other main events.
I mean, I've written 4.5 next to it. I don't know if that's wild, but it was old school wrestling. It was old school wrestling, but just really resonated. Proper, when you go back and when we're doing retro and things, and we're talking about, I wish matches were just like this with a bit of structure like this and things. It was just exactly like that. It could have been a match that, give or take some of the flashiness of some of the moves. It could have been a match that was in 1988 or something like that somewhere. Really good, really good.
Exactly what you want. Like I say, with that modern, twist on it, which was pretty much, the last 15 minutes of it as well. Yeah. I was going to go 4, and then the more we talked about it, okay, 4.25. You know me, I can never go higher. But I'll take that. But as a solid basics match, that was just fine. It was a great example of what that type of match should be. So, no, full thumbs up from me as well. Incredible stuff. And I think we'll spend less time on the second of the 3 main events, as that took us to Team MJF versus Team Briscoe coming up next here. We weren't particularly the most excited on the build to this, as we were talking about last week. I was a little bit more excited when I saw the massive cage. That was pretty much the entire sell job, wasn't it, at the pre-show? Look at this big cage, it's a fucking circle. That is cool, to be fair, I kind of just wish Tony Khan hadn't had 16 other cage matches like this somehow on the 4 pay-per-views that we've had this year so far. But yeah, it was okay. I didn't hate it. I watched, again, we're talking the last 3 matches here, but, coming after a very long pay-per-view, I'm not sure how much patience I have in the world for Leo Rush comedy. I think it reminded me, maybe I got a bit more into it than I did in the build-up, at least, of there are all these people in this match with a lot of history. You can play off the Takeshita Okada stuff. Oh, yeah, Darby Allin was world champion and him and MJF have got an issue. All right, we'll do that. I could have done with a little bit more of Kevin Knight. He faded into the background a little bit for me, but more on that when we get there. But, there were big spots in there, Takeshita's Blue Thunder Bomb through the tables, one I definitely want to get into there, and obviously the big turn of it at the end. Like I say, maybe the 30% of it that was a bit jokey comedy. Oh, we've got a snaz, have we? All of that stuff wasn't really for me. Maybe outstayed its welcome as far as length goes. And also, again, it was just a feud I wasn't particularly invested in going in. But, it's hard to massively get these things wrong, isn't it? As has been proven on these multiple pay-per-views where we've had these multiple type of matches. And he's fucking already looking at British Airways going, okay, how can we get this cage over to London for All In and do a fucking another one? But almost despite myself, I got dragged into at least those moments that I referenced there. Could still do without it on a 6-hour pay-per-view. So, damn one with faint praise. But yeah, what did you make of it before I muddy the water too much more?
I mean, it was one that we talked about, wasn't it? That it just felt thrown together when we did the preview show last week, and while there was like crossover of certain elements, it felt a bit, okay, this feels like a means to an end. It's the means to the end being Mark Briscoe getting his shot finally, and MJF having to give him that shot, having to deny him over TV, over a few weeks. So it's a story beat, isn't it, in that story that they've been telling along the way, which is fine, I suppose. It's just having your world champion in that kind of thing for a pay-per-view is, something that's questionable, although it's just nice to have your world champion on a pay-per-view, isn't it?
We'll take that
Night of Champions or something and your world champion's not on it, then it's a different kettle of fish, isn't it? But we'll have our thoughts, I think, on the individual elements of the match. There was definitely some things that I really enjoyed and had a lot of fun with. There was definitely some things in there that made me roll my eyes a little bit. But I think the lasting memory for me coming out of the back of it was actually I think they did a good job of booking this match in the same way that they previously have booked good things like battle royals and things in the past when they've paid attention to the fact that there's a lot of interlocking story going along across the piece, because obviously you got the Andrade turn, which has been built. That's something that's been bubbling under for a while. You got Kevin Knight, who, despite being a member of the Callis family and like that heel turn, he's still been peppering away for wanting a shot at MJF and things like that still as well. So you had like Kevin Knight hitting MJF like in the match there, like with a accidental air. So that lent into something towards an element that they've had, bubbling under there. You had that mix with Darby and Kevin Knight, which feels like it's a feud that's sort of been starting to build a little bit along the way. You had the Fletcher Takeshita Okada stuff peppered throughout with different combinations, and then you had like Fletcher accidentally super kicking Okada as well. So again, you've got this rocky situation going on in the Don Callis family, and it's pushing towards Fletcher and Okada being together. They felt together but not quite together and things like that. So you've got that really good little triangle, element going on there. I think the Jake Doyle been kept really strong, despite ultimately being the fall guy at the end, was a good bit of booking, because it meant that he just didn't look like some schlub who was just there to take the pin. They actually, helped raise his stock a little bit throughout too. And then also the punctuation for me was having Briscoe having MJF beat with the J Driller before it was broken up. Again, that lovely bit of business there just to lead him into the match, because you think, he can't, if he hits that, MJF's done. So in kayfabe, it's kind of it ticks that box as well, really. So I think they paid a lot of attention to a lot of the different elements and interactions that they've had going on here between different people. So I thought that was well done. The execution at different points in the match, with some of the people that you're going to have here in the match, it's going to be stuff to fucking roll your eyes at in some of it. And again, there was ups and there was downs.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with that take for me, because, there was a lot in this match that was probably more than that for me that I didn't love. But did it achieve its ends, as you kind of point out there? Like, even down to, you mentioned the Doyle stuff, but even just the way they put the finish together, there was a reason why he was stood there, I think it was quite creative to do that, to have him be the one, holding Briscoe, and then for it to be MJF. No, I fucking want him to do it instead. Then he's got a reason to be there to eventually take the fall. But also, it could be the simplest thing in the world. Could have been Mark Briscoe pins MJF to finish this match and therefore sets up the match on Dynamite this week. Don't think that road's always the one to go down, especially when MJF's already recently lost the belt and then got back again. I think this is a good substitute for that still achieves that aim. I still think, very clearly MJF's going over Mark Briscoe on Wednesday, but it's a good hook for that. It's a good setup for that. And then, like you say, the Andrade stuff is, again, a Dynamite match, certainly, but it's going to be a Dynamite match that's well built, isn't it? And it's going to be, I'll take anybody getting out of the Don Callis family, to be honest. He's been separated out, and now hopefully they can get, more out of him there as well. And hopefully he won't be too much swallowed up by the Don Callis universe stuff going forwards, although I'm sure we'll have to have the feud coming out of this as well. I suppose that Dan would find praise me. The big high point of this match is the fact that it was literally all of the Don Callis stuff in one feud and then in one match, and therefore we only had to have Don Callis and commentary once. It was great. I really enjoyed that. It was is all contained within this fucking cage, both like figuratively and literally too. But like, I can't, as someone who's a bit of a hater of the overall Don Callis stuff, I can't say they didn't, as you say, come out, you know, with all of those directions to go. Darby versus Kevin Knight on top of it as well. Like, they achieved all those aims. Obviously, Takeshita, almost been forgotten about, you know, the Takeshita fucking left the Don Callis family. Don obviously reminds you a lot about it, and especially on commentary, yeah. But there is still money there to be made with that, hopefully, that they can do. Whether they will or they won't, I don't know, but that's also a positive coming out of it. So, yeah, almost need to grin and bear it when fucking Gollum comes out of a bag, mate, and just get on with it, unfortunately, if it, for the other, 25% of this match that very much wasn't for me.
Yeah, I mean, you go again. You think through some of the spots, and the getting the Kyle O'Reilly, getting the NES out kind of thing. That felt like something like that'd be something that I might chuckle at if I was at like watching TNT in town or something. Like I
was going to say, Progress a few years ago, maybe.
Yeah, not watching an AEW pay per view, kind of, and especially when there was people of the, I don't know, a match where elements of the feuds are so intense with some of the people here, totally. the caliber of opponent, and then the level of violence that some of these people are going to go to, and then you've got the fucking conglomeration pissing about with Nintendo's. Like, it just doesn't line up, does it? That's one of them where you've got to take that step back and be like, yeah, no, not in this match, not you guys.
Kyle literally, he was on those indie shows you're talking about, and he just hasn't, his brain has never matured, hasn't he? He never like lets go of it. If anything, he's like delved more into it since he's joined the conglomeration. And that was our issue going in, wasn't it? It was the diluting of the serious business going on with these fucking geeks, because I mean, that's what they are at the end of the day.
Yeah, like absolutely. But then on the flip side, you did have, if I never see it, drawing pin, I will say, not thumbtack spot again in my life. Again, I'd be perfectly happy. But the bump Briscoe took into them from Kyle Fletcher, and then the bump that fucking Darby Allin took into them.
Face first.
That wasn't selling on Darby Allin's face. You could see that the man was legitimately in a hell of a lot of pain.
Been hanging around with Bam Margera too much, Annie. Fucking hell.
And that doesn't that doesn't line up to NES system things there. There was some comedy that I did like. I liked Takeshita reaching in his backpack for the middle finger, as obvious.
I kind of like that too, to be fair.
over time, that got a chuckle out of me. I did. I did enjoy the oranges being used to be squeezed into Kyle's cut on his head, kind of thing, because I was thinking, that would butch. That would be like one of those little things that would.
You believe it, obviously, yeah. Absolutely. It's like when wrestlers use Lego instead of drawing pins. It's like, I can believe that one. I've stood on Lego. I get it.
Touch funny, but then again, there was the other stuff. Like you say, we didn't get a lot of Kevin Knight, but I think the stuff that Kevin Knight did do was, big stuff. Really, obviously that like Phantominator that he hit on Darby with Doyle holding the chair, sure. Like that looked cool. Obviously, the spot then at the top of the cage with the Darby booby chop bag, like
that was very jackass.
It was, but. I got a pop out of me. I enjoyed that. It was just, I wasn't expecting it. Suddenly there was this big explosion, and he went fucking flying all that way down through that table. I was like, oh.
Wish he did. He would have broke the fucking tables at least. Fucking only going through one, didn't he? Come on, mate. I'm paid with you here. Tommy Dreamer could do it. Oh, maybe that's Brian Lee could do it.
I enjoyed that, but then
let's put some weight on.
Flip side is you've got a hockey bag with an extra character in there, and. Honestly, mate, I feel like he's getting over. I feel like the crowds are reacting to him and things like that in the last few weeks, and it's dumbfounding me. It really is.
I mean, I like Danhausen, so I should probably be careful with this, but it is funny that like Danhausen got nowhere at AEW and Tony clearly hated him, but he clearly loves this, doesn't he? Clearly likes this. I mean, okay, Leo Rush is a better in-ring wrestler or whatever, but I think this... I hate that it's like the Cope sing-along, mate. I don't. It is working. I can hear the crowd. Well, not even working, but I can hear the crowds getting into it. I feel like they're all doing it to spite me. Like the people sing along to Cope song are doing it to spite me personally. But I just can't hate it. I fucking hate it. I feel like Matty and JP do about Danhausen. I don't want it at AEW. There you go. There's my answer. Maybe me and Tony agree there.
It doesn't fit. And then when you're doing something so on the nose, as in like going after MJF's ring. Like the Gollum thing.
The commentary are literally going, oh yeah, my precious.
It's like spelling it out for you. So you're like, come on, like this is just shite sort of thing. But then immediately straight after it, you then got Takeshita and that Blue Thunder Bomb on Kyle Fletcher through the table on the outside. So it was almost like good palate cleanser there. Back to what we should be doing here. But I think any interaction that Kyle Fletcher and Takeshita had was just boss in this match. Everything, like, it just looked great every time they paired up. They had like a real 100-mile-an-hour sequence early on that, you know, it maybe only lasted for 1 minute kind of thing, but it just, again, it was one of those that just whet your appetite for, oh, come on, full-blown best-of-7 feud between these two or something like that along the way. I'd be there all day for that. And then,
I think it's this pay-per-view time on that. Do that instead.
Well, yeah, that would have been better. just have them face each other 7 times on one pay-per-view. Oh, no, don't give me any ideas. You might do it.
Might do it at Wembley. We'll see. Need to add another 12 matches to that to make it go 7 hours, but we'll see. But yeah, like I say, with the Gollum stuff, but like it just feels a bit like, you know, like the wrestlers in the 80s were clearly based on like movie people, like, you know, fucking Magnum TA came out, like with people singing along to the Magnum PI theme on fucking commentary, or like, you know what I mean, like the commentary going on about Jean-Claude Van Damme while Rob Van Damme's it and stuff. Just leave it, just let it be it. If it has to exist, let it be its own fucking thing. But even stepped over that. But I've got more to say in the commentary later. The boot didn't improve when Walker Stewart left, I will say that. But yeah, obviously you needed Don here for that. Any else on this match? I suppose Andrade. I suppose we talked a little bit about Andrade, but again, he's the big winner coming out of this one. I did think that was executed well. And like I say, I hold my nose for the rest, but sounds like I'm a bit lower on it, did you?
Yeah, it with that, I thought that was done well, and it was the timing. You know, sometimes they can miss the boat. AEW can't, or they can do something too early, or they can do it miles too late. I feel like they've just timed this like spot on for Andrade here for it to happen when it did. I even just like the fact that they just continue to set it up at the start of the match as well. You know, where they had, you know, in front of MJF when they were doing the pose at the start, MJF stopping Andrade from ripping his pants off and them having a bit of a shoving match and things. So the sort of from the off, they just again reaffirmed that kind of idea that, you know, they're not on the same page here at all, because sometimes you might get a turn like that at the end of a match in wrestling and you're like, hang on, you've been fighting in partnership with each other for 30 minutes and you decided, oh, I'm just going to wait until the very end for this to this turn to happen. But at least they kept it on and kept that going through as a whole. So yeah, I'm interested to see what happens with that. But mixed bag, I'd probably be, you know, one thing I would say,
325.
It was a damn sight better than the Stadium Stampede on the last pay-per-view. It was significantly more creative in terms of some of the things that they did. The comedy, while some of it was terrible, some of it worked better than the Stadium Stampede stuff did as well. And I just felt like a few people here came out of it a bit more as a result of the match. So yeah, like 3.5, you know, stuff to like, stuff to not like.
Yeah, like I say, enough there that I can at least talk some positive about it. But you know, when I said before, I'd rather have a singles match with Kyle and Takeshita instead. I'd just rather have had no match, and that would probably have been better. But anywho, speaking of that, we go to our the third main event, but I think the true main event of the show. And you know, I think we can get into that, whether the crowd, you know, might have been different in certain moments without it, but we'll get into that. But we do need to start with this one with Ospreay Swerve in the men's Owen final with the fucking entrances, mate. Like, fucking the Mox voiceover into Ospreay coming out dressed as Bane. Swerve is on a bike, and I'm reliably told that this is Lobo, because Excalibur had to correct it by Tony Schiavone. You thought that was Bane, with his fucking cigar. Woman out this weekend. Apparently, people can go and watch. But oh man, we need a moratorium on this. Like these, at least I suppose I'll just say at least it happened here, and maybe Ospreay got it out of his system when we're not going to get it at Wembley. So maybe we can just be thankful for that. But good lord, what did Johnny Gargano do to the sport we love, mate? Maybe we can blame Rey Mysterio if we go back further. Or fucking state of the lads here.
I was just going to say, I blame Ray. I blame Ray. I think
it worked with him though, didn't it? He had masks anyway, so we just coloured them in. Like, I don't know what to do it, do we? Then when Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock dressed up as superheroes, I know I sound old, but whatever. No, they didn't, because they were the fucking superheroes. That was the point. But anyway.
You know what I would say is at least Ospreay looks like he's spent a bit of money on it, whereas you see so many wrestlers who've got these kind of masks and things, and they could like come out in them and they've blatantly just spent about 40 quid on it, and it looks like some, you know, like Joe Coffey with his Iron Man mask and things that he just nipped down to the entertainer to pick up for before a show or something like that. At least Ospreay's outfit looked like it was genuine, like, you know, movie production quality value and things like that. So if people are going to go down this route and they're going to do this thing, at least make it, you know, look not cheap, which, you know, I think they achieved. But yeah, it's wild that this is a thing, isn't it? It's one of the biggest matches of my AEW career. So what am I going to do? A bit of cosplay, cheeky bit of cosplay for the lads. You know, like why is that a thing?
I want to see the behind the scenes of Moxley being taken to the booth. I've got to say what? I've got to do what? Like, how does the in-character person be like, yeah, I'll sit here, I'll read out these fucking lines. You're wrestling it, you leave your head there behind. But to get into the match, I think it's the most, again, you haven't seen any of the talk, the most divisive match on the show. I've seen every possible take on this one, including calling it one of the very best AEW matches ever. We'll see where Garrett lands. It's going to be like I say, it's a meaty one to break down. It was, I think, a lot of like the mixed reaction to it comes also. You can't hide it. It's coming at the end of a long pay-per-view, a long, you know, match before it, you know, a long night. It's fucking almost not late for me, but, you know, almost ends up almost 1 a.m. by the time these shows finish, you know, so you give it that as well. But, you know, they went out there for this epic main event, and for me, I overall enjoyed it. Like, I went in almost expecting not to love it as much as I would going in, but for me, it was effective. Like, you know, you had your, we can get into the, you know, minutiae of it, but you had your relatively, for me, slow and quiet opening to the match, and I think that's maybe what annoyed a few people. It's like, come on, lads, get to it. But, you know, that stage setting really worked well for me as far as like the back and forths in there, and then both missing offense and, you know, everything, you know, the 7,000 things that, you know, happen within, but kind of that setting stage part of the match. I love the middle portion of the match where, you know, things did particularly speed up, and you got that bit of blood on Ospreay's side, and then eventually you get that bit of blood on Swerve's side when, again, story of the match, you know, this wasn't just throwaway stuff. It's Ospreay, you know, discovering the violence within him, and that's a big part of the story, whether you love it or not, the story they've been telling with Moxie. But you see that progress through this match, and obviously the Deck Rider drama section at the end as well, I think has been something that's been a little bit polarizing. I think that was like a good next level to that Ospreay escalation, and, you know, it was kind of, it went from him being in the Violet one, but also he needed to have the guts to survive, so you had that bit of the story in there. There's plenty of Swerve we can get into this match as well, like his particular story within the bulk of this match. But for me, it was an epic that didn't outstay its welcome. It was one I was expecting to, especially when I saw like the 35-minute runtime. But it went by great for me. Maybe it's watching it in isolation, I don't know. But like, to me, this felt like the big time match it needs to be. It felt like the big time scalp that Ospreay needed. A lot of my talk going into it was, well, nobody fucking believes Swerve. They were even saying that on the pre-show, like, oh, no one believes Swerve's going to win, do they, Jeff? And Jeff's like, oh, you know, he might. Like, it's literally Renee was saying that, and then still within the bulk of the match, I think we told that, maybe with that in the back of everyone's mind, still told that story really well by making it about Ospreay, but also making it with Swerve with a point to prove. So massively landed for me, you know, all of the character beats in here massively landed for me as far as Swerve's motivations, you know, as far as shit talking and all his role in the match, Ospreay's motivation as far as getting to Wembley, and yeah, for me, just a fantastic AEW pay-per-view main event. But yeah, I'll go to you, mate, and then we can talk some of the detail within.
Oh, like definitely, it was one of those where, as I got to it, when I saw how much was left of the show that was then this match, so you go, okay, it's going along, you know, this is one, feeling a bit like, oh, but time pressured here as well, like to get it watched before we recorded today, and there's that part of you've come off the back of it, there's that element of, I don't know, like slight jading kind of thing of when you've watched this much wrestling in a short period of time. So can only imagine like sitting up and watching it live. That, you know, I wouldn't say I was going into it like not wanting to watch it, but I was going into it like this. Come on,
whole pay-per-views like that. It's daunting, isn't it?
Be really good kind of thing, and yet it's, you know, arguably the match that you're looking forward to most on the show generally, but that just quickly dissipated, and like, you know, I just think the absolute quality of the story that they told in this match was first class on another level. I feel like it's almost like another month we come on here and it's like, yeah, Will Ospreay was absolutely amazing on a pay-per-view, doing something that felt a bit different to what he's done before as well. And I just think this whole story, that the toughness of him that they got through on this is the toughest Will Ospreay has ever looked in his entire career. And what do you attribute that toughness to? That time period that he spent with the Death Riders, which is the story that they've been telling, which, again, fits in the same way that when they were holding the belt hostage and they took the top-end main event roster to another level to be able to try and dethrone the Death Riders and Moxley at the top. They've now done this on an individual level with Will Ospreay sort of coming under their tutelage here and training with them and things. And like the story that told the story so well, because I think there was points at this match where I was really expecting it to go in a totally different direction. So, I mean, you had the early heat stuff with Swerve where he's working the neck and things, that period of dominance, and it wasn't dead long, it was probably 5 minutes or something like that where he's
all the different neck breakers,
with the rabbit punch, and he's stretching him in the ropes, and he's standing on his neck and his neck breakers and all that. But then I think you had that little, there was a real like 100-mile-an-hour exchange between them where they did one of those rapid loads of transitions and things, and it sort of ended with Swerve landing a driver of some sort. But then in my head it was like, okay, so is this like, can Swerve now sort of take control here? But he didn't. He went and he exposed that turnbuckle, and then you had Ospreay. That was when he whacked Swerve's arm in the ring post and snapped it over the barricade and stomped it and things like that. But ultimately, that sort of sequence ended up with Will getting slingshotted into the exposed turnbuckle steel, which busted him open. And then you're like, all right, well, Swerve's going to dominate now, kind of thing. This is where and then he was sort of a bit slow, methodical, but no, like Will's just like countering him back, constantly. Like Will's there with blood pissing off his face, but he's hitting the desperation Spanish fly. He's countering the suplex into the stunner, then the Styles clash. He's landing that stand hidden raise. So it was like something. Hang about, he's there. He's just been slingshotted into that that turnbuckle extension. He's pissing blood everywhere. Swerve surely should be on top here. But no, like Ospreay's still countering everything, and he's got that toughness about him and things. And that, there's multiple occasions throughout the rest of this match where I was almost writing my notes ahead of myself, where I was like, Swerve takes control now, kind of thing. And then Swerve didn't take control because Ospreay had the counters and the toughness to not allow him to take control. And it was a really irregular match structure that you think the length that it went, the amount of offense and dominance that Ospreay had while still feeling like the underdog at times because he was so beat up by some of the things that Swerve did. Like it was brilliant. It was like it was different level match structure this to achieve what they wanted to achieve. It worked so well.
Which is why I'm glad that we didn't do it by the design, but I'm glad we did the women's match first, because the women's final was more traditional, at least until it was finished in stretches, and then you contrast it with this. Absolutely. And I think I don't often give Excalibur credit, and I'm not for the rest of the show, but I think his call where he was like, have you noticed like everything Ospreay does here is a counter, like every bit of offense he gets is a counter, so it's still in a way that traditional way, because it's still Swerve who's in control, and a lot of that Swerve's character work, because he's kind of he's a little bro and Ospreay isn't, he's jaw-jacking him, which is causing Ospreay to fight back with the forearms and causing Ospreay to go through like that flurry of offense and to speed up the match, as you say, until he gets cut off by like the Swerve body slam. It does take the bit that you mentioned there. It does also take, gotta give him a shout out, Prince Nana and his coffee to give Swerve back that momentary control again. But again, it's Ospreay countering, it's Ospreay flying back, it's Ospreay then hitting the Spanish fly in there as well. And just when you think Swerve's going to recover, as you mentioned, it's the Slumdog Millionaire he gets there as well. It's the style clash. I'm not sure how I feel about Swerve then no-selling the Hidden Blade in that moment. That felt like they were trying to... I don't know if they were trying to do what they did in that moment. It almost felt like it was supposed to miss more than it did, and Swerve then came back. But I suppose it still achieved the overall aim of the match, which was, at least at that point, those swings and momentum. You know, just when you think after that, Swerve's going to get control with the powerbomb off the top. Nope. Ospreay's going to run him off the top instead. Like, all of that stuff, like, it's all high-level stuff that could be big high spots at the end of the match, but this is right in the middle of the match, isn't it? It's right in the bulk of it. But we're establishing that, like, say, as a character point. Swerve's almost trying to control it, but Ospreay's just got that much fight in him that he's still coming back.
Yeah, and that's it. And then taking it on to the next steps from there, because then following on from that Rana from the top there, that's when, like, Ospreay goes for the Oscutter.
Yeah.
Swerve counters it into the Deadeye, gets a 2.99. And then now you're like, okay, well, yeah, he's just landed the Deadeye on his broken, surgically repaired neck kind of thing. He's going to take control here. But then he goes for the Swerve stomp on the apron, but Will moves, goes for the sunset bomb to the outside, roll through there. And then that's when they end up with, like, Swerve getting swung into the steps on the outside by Ospreay, and then Swerve's pissing with blood, and then Ospreay's, like, smashing his face into the steps repeatedly and things like so. Again, you've got that thing of where it looked like off the Deadeye, Swerve was going to now take control, especially he's landed that big move from his rival on his neck there, and it's led to bit more Ospreay brutality, bit more Ospreay's countered, a bit more Ospreay dominance there, like that then moves into the sequence where he's moved the steps, and what a great visual that was when he moved the steps and there was that streak of blood following behind the steps along the floor. It was proper good horror film stuff there. That big run of blood. I fucking absolutely love that. But then again, you thought Swerve should take control here, because after the Nana distraction, Swerve then lands that flying house call off the steps, which again, you think he's just landed the fucking house call off the steps there on the outside when Ospreay's been distracted by an Nana. Goes for the vertebraker on the steps, but no, Will fights it off and Stars clashes Swerve from the steps through the announce table. So yet again, he's just turned the tables again. It's almost like everything coming back the other way. Will Ospreay's countering him, but he's capitalising with every counter. When Swerve gets these counters that he's able to do via distraction or just getting a chance to do one-upmanship, he can't capitalise because Ospreay's just too strong for him, too brutal for him. He's got too much comeback for him and things. And again, it's just a side to him that you just never seen before. And Swerve never felt it beyond that first 5 minutes like he was ever in total control to me. Like it always was ebbing and flowing back the other way.
And that's, like you say, that's the undercurrent of it, isn't it? It's like you say there with the, Ospreay looking like he's, when he's going for that initial Stars clash on the outside, and just having that. And again, you could overdo the beer, and he could have spent 15 minutes like looking at his hands, deciding what he should really do. But you still get that little moment where he's trying to decide what he's going to do. And again, that character development, it's like, no, I'm going to fucking shot put him into the stairs, which he literally, I think that's what it's called. You fucking swing round and fucking punch something. That's literally what he does, doesn't he, to Swerve? And it's like, it's perfect. He would have normally just done a Stars clash, but like he wanted to do something that would hurt him even more. He wanted to up that violence. Like you mentioned, he does eventually get the Stars clash, but it's almost not through, but on the table, and therefore creates that big bloody visual, doesn't it, on the table? Which again, Nigel is not loving sitting there too, but it's a real turning point in the overall story of the match as well. It's achieving that at the same time too.
100%. And then after that, with on the announce table. So then you've got Swerve just getting back into the ring at 9.999 kind of on the ref's count there. And then you've just got that total dominance then from Ospreay. He lands that quick drop kick to the side of the head. He lands the Oscutter. He hits him with 3 heel kicks. He hits that like roaring elbow. He's big forearm to another. And then when Swerve hits the mat, hits him with another on the back of his head that the ref pulls him off and makes him do the 10 count.
That's the spot he did with Curtis Chapman, isn't it? That literally this week, it shows up on fucking Lab Bible or something like that. Wrestler loses control in the match. It's like, no, Curtis Chapman talked about it, God rest him. But when he was around, it was perfectly safe and fine, But like, it looks so believable and like such a kill shot, doesn't it? Like, I will say, I don't love the referee getting involved there. I don't really understand that. Unless you're calling the match off. Like, why can't you do that? Like, what's in the rules that stops you doing that compared to everything else? But, minor point, but it is a bit of a bugbear. But yeah, it looks amazing. It looked like he was a killer trying to kill someone. Whereas I think in the Curtis Chapman like version of that, like Ospreay looked like a dickhead, and I think he was supposed to be the baby face. Yeah, and I guess he's still the baby face, and it could come across like that. But I think again, the character work they've done, it makes sense.
Yeah, and he did get a couple of boos, didn't he, when he did it from the crowd as well? Yeah, so they're almost like buying into that. I thought that was good and well done, and I think I didn't mind the ref element to that because I just thought it is that like, you know, you strike him to the back of the head of a grounded opponent almost. It's a bit MMA, you know, in a way sort of thing. But it's like, whoa, you're taking things to a level beyond the legality where this should be. Obviously, then, you know, you get Swerve down for 9, shoving the ref off, getting up Will immediately, and that hidden blade, which again you could have bought as the finish, like there and then, absolutely, and Swerve kicking out at 299, and then you got Will going for the DVD from the top, but Swerve rabbit punching him on the back of his head, and then hitting the stomp on the back of Ospreay's head, and I thought, now Swerve is going to get his now he's going to get his little run here. But it very quickly just moved to where Will countered the vertebraker attempts into where they hit they ended with the house call with the Ospreay kick out at 1, hidden blade, Swerve kick out at 1, double clothesline, double down kind of thing. So again, even then, still when he's landed a big move, a Swerve stomp to the back of the head from the top there as well. Even that can't keep Ospreay down. He's a fucking machine at this point. You know, again, that level of toughness really filtering through. And they're both fucked. Like, they're both down here for the double down, and they both look wrecked. And obviously you get where they get to their feet, and, you know, they're both in the corner and they're facing off. And again, this was another example that let's just say it was corny as hell kind of thing, the face-off here. But this genuinely felt like two weary, battle-hardened gunslingers facing off, and I've literally written cinema here, and it is like, you know, but saying that with a tongue in cheek because of WWE would be trying to tell you that this is cinema kind of thing. They didn't need to force feed anything like that down your throat here. This is two people who have been in there in a fucking hard fight, just looking across the ring from each other, thinking after you've both kicked out of each other's finisher on a 1 and then been double down, what the hell have I got to do to beat you? Like, you know, Swerve's hit some big stuff, and Ospreay just will not die, and he just keeps coming back to dominate. But despite this dominant and toughness, he can't keep Swerve down either. You know, he's hitting with his best stuff, and Swerve's getting up at 999 for the you know, when he's been nearly counted out with the blow to the back of the head, he's getting up at 299 when he's hitting, you know, hidden blades. Like, it's fucking the setup there towards from where the match got to that point. Like, I was practically standing up and applauding them at that point from having gotten to the thing of like, oh god, this match is going to go along. I was like, thank fuck I am watching this match right now. It was, you know, proper. I was hyped, really, really hyped at this point in the match.
The only thing I would say is, like, I agree, because that's how I felt too, and I think the overall story he told saved like this moment in the match. Like I said, I can always do with that a bit too much melodrama, but again, didn't massively overstep the line for me. But when they did the double down, I would say it felt like that was like a moment for the crowd to go mad, and they just didn't. I think it was just this weird. If we want to play as a positive, if we want to cope. You know, they're just, you know, it's the old thing Gabe used to say in ROH. Like Japanese fans, they're just really into it, and they're really, maybe they are, you know, maybe they're disturbed. But it was a little bit of a warning shot for me that it was like, oh, okay, as compelling as this whole story is, are the crowd with them? Have they lost the people here? Are they quiet? And as quickly as I'm thinking that, straight away, that's when they come back, isn't it? With Ospreay with the hidden blade and the Stormbreaker kick out, and the crowd fucking lose their mind, and it's, oh no, they are with them. Maybe they're just knackered, you know. So maybe I'll take that point, or give that point back. But like, I think it worked really. Like, it at least worked in that moment, and it was like, okay, no, they are still invested in this, and that's where you get the hidden blade again, isn't it? Where you get Swerve with the ref push when he uses the low blows, because I suppose to the point you've been laying out, he's gotten desperate now, because it's like, what can I fucking do to kill this cunt? That's when he hits the vertebraker, hits his own hidden blade, which I'll always love. Does the I'll only ever call it this, the Stone Cradle Driver. That's what he hits there, and then it's another monster like pop from there. It's like any like trepidation maybe I had about the crowd there. I was like, nope, they're still awake. It's past midnight, but the Yanks can still go. Like they really, this is before obviously the Mox lads come out, but I feel like they really had them in. It's a great, again, it's almost like another chapter point, isn't it, in the match before we get to the last bit of drama here with Mox.
Definitely, and that low blow again. How many low blows do we see and we roll our eyes? That low blow was perfect for what Swerve needed at that moment because he had nothing else. He couldn't, and then that looked like it was the first window of opportunity that he had to actually get some kind of dominance here towards the end of the match because of you say the moves that hitting that vertebraker but Will kicking out with two. The second, the 2 count kick out in that sequence there, and then it then takes the Death Riders to come down to split that dominance because again, it's just when Swerve hits that house call and Will eats it, and he turns and he looks at Mox as he's eating it, kind of thing. It's like. Fucking hairs have just gone up on the back of my neck, honestly.
Oh no, is cinema good? If we worked ourselves into that's the fucking catchphrase of this show now, but I think we've worked ourselves into thinking cinema's good because it is, isn't it? It's like leaving the camera gets Mox, doesn't it? Right at that second, as he's like, locking eyes with Ospreay. Commentary picks up on it
because it just reaffirms that it just reaffirms. We've told you throughout this match that he's even tougher than he's ever been. Like he's more, is a different version of Will Ospreay that you've ever seen, and then you just get the punctuation point right here at the end, just when it looks like he might struggle, just when it looks like he might because of the low blow as well, that might have been the thing that turns his tide. Like no, because everything that he's done over this time period has paid off, and obviously that works into the finish here where you get you get the buckshot hidden blade that Swerve kicks out at 2. You get the paradigm shift, the Death Rider, and then it needs that Tiger Driver, which again, long-term storytelling is never going to do kind of thing ever again but this version of Will Ospreay, he's going to do it all day long because he's got fucking Wembley on his mind and he's got he's got the objective of winning that world title there, so he's going to pull that out and get the 1, 2, 3 and fucking mate. At the end, I was just like off my seat. Just fantastic again. Such another fantastic, different type of Will Ospreay match. Like I say this every single time I come on after a pay-per-view. There's morons out there who think that Will Ospreay's just flips and fucking bouncing about the ring and doing somersaults and things like that. Like. Honestly, the level of work that he goes to in so many different directions, the ways that he can tell stories in different ways, like he just gets better and better and better. Like, and again, this is one there where I'm like what I was thinking match of the year to this to that point because of the way it made me feel.
Yeah, you're not alone. Like I think a lot of people feel that way about this one. And like I say, I went in just knowing there was a lot of cinema coming. Simon's giving us grief in the chat there. Game's gone. But like I still like I'm still on the edge, and I'm still like the more I describe it, it's like maybe could it have been too much? I think it was just on the line enough that I think it did. It worked for me. Like I said, going into this, I really enjoyed it. Like as a whole, I enjoyed, like you say, the basic story they told throughout this, and I haven't loved everything they've done with Moxley, but like the crux of that story of bringing out this other side of Ospreay, like just told perfectly through a wrestling match and through the story of a wrestling match in a way that now, sets up whatever they're setting up with Ospreay and Mox. Let's hope it's fucking something and it does go somewhere. But like just in isolation, looking at this match and how they've told that story and how it's changed Ospreay over the weeks as far as a wrestler, I'd probably drop some of the, goofy submissions that he's borrowed from the Death Riders and all that stuff. But, just by virtue of just using the paradigm shift, all of that stuff, going for the kill shots of the Tiger Driver, I think that all it works within this story. Like that all works within this match. I might have saved the buckshot hidden blade for like, that felt like a finish. Like that was fucking incredible. Like that was like, save that for a Hangman match maybe one day. Do it there, and it should be the end. Like maybe you can't beat Hangman with that, but beat someone with it. That was maybe a slight thing there. But again, if the story we're telling is he has to pull out this untold level of violence as far as a cocktail of 4 or 5 things there he does in a row to finish him off, like it does work within the story to tell him within the ring. So no, I loved it. I really did. And like I say, after a very long pay-per-view, like I think, yeah, it was ballsy. And maybe, some didn't appreciate them going for this style of like longer story match at the time that it was. But I think as a piece of art, I don't want to be too an arse, but a piece of as a wrestling match as what it is, fantastic. Yeah. Sounds like you're going the full 5 on it. You're going that far. I'm a coward. I'm not. You know me though already by now. So I don't know what I'd give it. Maybe 4.5, 4.75. 4.75 feels good.
Still in there, mate. Still in there.
4.66 is the new banner rating. That's what I'm going with. Yeah. No, 4.75. I'd say.
Yeah, I've written down 4.75 in my notes. Like there was, but
great.
Like I don't think I never felt like I was going 5 with it, but obviously it's as close as you can get. And again, it's just another variant of a match at that level from Ospreay, and yeah, it's just the story that they told. Just again, it just paid off so much of things that have happened previously in AEW, short term and longer term as well. And then it's a brilliant way to set up Will Ospreay as this person who can roll into Wembley as a guy who can become the world champion. And then, I often think, like, what level is there even left for Will Ospreay to move up to, kind of thing. But now, I thought he was a genuine main eventer in my head a year ago, 2 years ago, kind of thing. But now I almost feel like coming out of this, I'm like, no, he's absolutely like he's an even bigger main eventer now. He's fundamentally as a top babyface main event star that you can put in there. He's got every string to the bow, or nearly every string to the bow there. It just keeps growing from that standpoint.
A lot of that's by design, isn't it? They held back like the Ospreay Call at Wembley win, Forbidden Door win last year in London, the big Ospreay win. For now, and that is a question. Did they hold back too long? Was the peak of Ospreay becoming AEW World Champion back then? Obviously, first Wembley out, he was New Japan contracted still as well, so you weren't doing it there. But it's a conversation we're going to get into in the build to All In. But doing it now, and yeah, it does kind of, at least it gives you that. It gives you that. Well, yes, when you think of like the top 3 or 4 guys in AEW, you say Kenny, Swerve, Ospreay, Hangman. Like he's in that list, isn't he? You don't think about it. Like you don't think, oh, he's not been world champion, but it is another step up, isn't it? Like that crowning is a selling point, whether it's a bigger selling point than it would have been at another point we can get into when we get to those shows. But yeah, that is where we are.
Yeah, it feels like to me like when they count 3 at Wembley and he's lifting that belt up at Wembley, that feels to me like a bigger, better crowning of a world champion than Ospreay could have ever had at any point in his AEW run. Do you know, if they had put the belt on him, I don't think it would have felt as big. This feels almost to me like when we get there, it's going to feel a touch like on the level of when Hangman finally dethroned Mox, and that felt like that feels like a big moment. So let's hope they hit the landing in the next few months after it in September, October, November. We'll wait with a bated breath on that one.
Well, we'll find out who he's going to wrestle, and to do that, I suppose we'll have to go back to the top of the show, and we'll get there in a little moment. But that's going to be a big part of that conversation, isn't it? Are we headed where we all believe that we're headed? But before we get to that match, the second match of the night, if we go back to the top of the card, we'll get this out the way quickly. Unless you had anything more you wanted to throw in on that. Young Bucks, El Sky Team, Unbound Co. We'll do next. Yeah, that was a match, wasn't it? Anyway, moving on to the Kenny match. It's funny, this one. Like this one, it went as expected for me. It was the popcorn match, like it always looked like. If anything coming out of it, I understand less coming out of it. Why people are excited by the match graphic. I thought it was good, but on the low end of good. I thought there was some creative spots in there with the Bucks and particularly Mystico on the Sky Team side in there, but it never really felt like, those lads were let off the leash in the way that you'd want. And also Shingo was there and Titan was there. But yeah, it was your three-way tag to get the crowd going for your opening match. And like I say, our complaints on what you might have been able to do more substantively with the Bucks here, with a certain tag team that's doing very well, the Naho brothers in New Japan right now. That aside, it was all right for what it was on the night. And obviously, yeah, it's going to be a big talking point as we go through the night. These are the more Forbidden Door-y end of the card, the Walker Stewart end of the card. And yeah, they're probably the same conversation. We're not going to have a lot of them. Fun matches, well delivered on the night, but yeah, it's a Forbidden Door concept. Does feel like it's in name only and ring announcer only, really, at this point.
Yeah, I think this was the worst Young Bucks opener I've ever seen. Normally it's roll them out there, put them on first, get the crowd going. It did that. The crowd got into it and things like that, which is fair enough. But I was just a bit bored by this. It just seemed to be. It was just lacking something. I don't know. There's normally that undeniable breakneck speed kind of thing that comes with the Young Bucks in these things. I felt like
they thought it was a night off. Tony's giving us a three-way. We'll have a laugh. Honestly, I think if it was just them versus Sky Team, or just again, Sky Team without the fucking ROH belt around them, which Tony's never going to have that mindset of this actually lowers them rather than escalates them as like a dream match thing. But in a world where they've been kept separate and special and we're ROH tag team champions and, that straight up tag match, I think the Young Bucks go in with a different mentality. I actually think it got diluted, we said it on the pre-show, by adding, we love Shingo, we like Shingo, Titan's Titan, but just doing that and making it a three-way, and therefore giving yourself more options on the finish, I think was just cowardly and subtraction by addition for me.
Yeah, totally agree. It was a solid 3 stars kind of thing, but absolutely no more than that. And my favourite bits were just Shingo leveling people with lariats every now and again, kind of thing. And I was just left feeling like, I love Shingo. Why don't I watch more Shingo? Kind of thing. I miss Shingo. I miss Shingo. Kind of. That was my abiding feeling from watching this match. So I was like,
Tony calls him every year and never gives him anything substantial. I know New Japan don't really these days, but he's always the 6th person on the, who do we need? Okay, we got 7 people here for this 8-man tag. Shingo. Every year without fail. He turns up, fair play, but I'd like something more substantial too.
Yeah, that was the takeaway from it.
That's all I can say too.
I was literally a bit bored at some points, and I was like, this is a great start to the pay-per-view for me.
Well, the Forbidden Door concept, but it would get better as we had next up Kenny Omega and Zack Sabre Jr. I actually thought as well, contrary to what we talked about last week, I almost think what they've done off TV has been better than what they did on TV, especially the video package they had there where it was and they have been doing it this last week, beating you over the head with. I know this feels like a match you've all seen a million times, but actually the last time you saw it was 8 years ago, it was in a G1. I had to be reminded of that on Dynamite, and I was like, oh yeah, feels like something I saw 3 years ago, feels like something I've saw 20 times, but apparently I haven't. But building on that history and making that a positive, here they are, 8 years later, the lads to have another match, and yeah, it's not Forbidden Door the way it used to be, but this is a bit Forbidden Door-y. Come on, lads! I thought there was plenty to get into this one. Really enjoyed it for what it was on the night. Taking all of those overall complaints aside, I love the story being built around Zach's early arm work that he could keep going back to. And then the battle of that versus Kenny, maybe trying different things and them not 100% working, going for the neck and then that's kind of switching that to body work and then trying to switch that to trying to match Zach on the ground and trying to figure his way. But then eventually, overwhelming him with V-triggers and power moves and all of that stuff with still the little moments of counters we can get into it. With Zach, and obviously they gave Zach plenty there as well, as far as those counters and as far as, little against the run of play near fall in a Michinoku driver. But my overall take is how well he bled those two stories into also giving you the definitive Kenny Omega win that I think was needed if we're going to Redemption 2. Once he finally hit that one-wing angel, it was fucking done. Yes, Zach had his moments. Yes, generally how the match was worked. It still made it feel like the dream match that we were trying to build and sell here. But I think it achieved both those things, and I absolutely love this. And I didn't feel excited going in, and I think maybe the last minute little bit of promotion for it, and just the work on the night reminded me of who these two fucking lads are. And yeah, I think it managed to walk the line of doing both of those things. I thought this was great, but what say you, Gareth?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. Like I enjoyed it as a match. Like I don't think it wasn't like absolutely up there with stuff later on the card, but I don't think it should have been either. Obviously, with its match placement and where it was, I think the biggest things that come out of it was it did kind of feel like it had that big time element to it. Like it did feel like an important match. Then they did dress it up quite well. Like Zack Sabre Jr. definitely did look like a star, credible opponent for to be in there with like Kenny Omega. So I thought on that side of things, it definitely felt like it was a little bit more same as you. Like again, just good. Good basic storytelling there with the body part stuff of Zack going after the arm and Kenny going for the ribs and some of the work that some of the ways in which Kenny going after those ribs I quite liked. I think any time you've got Kenny feeling like he's adding a bit of aggression to his work and not working too light, that's when you get the better version of Kenny. Like there was one point where he landed the double stomp on Zack's ribs, and then sort of quite quickly later on he landed a real big punch to the ribs as well. And again, it just like dead basic thing, just a kick to the ribs, but it looked like it landed, and it looked like it was, again, he's really trying to hurt him because he's, trying to set him up for something to come later. So again, like I say, it's basic things, but done right and done by good people can look so much better than when the placement of things are put in the wrong way. Again, I like the definitive nature of the win. To be honest, with the one-winged angel, I thought it was, as in my mind, I'm hoping we're moving towards Kenny and Ospreay and like get MJF out of the picture before Wembley, and it's that's the direction we're going. But I think the fact that Kenny went for it multiple times, he went for it, and then you had Zack counting to the cradle, and then Zack falling up with the Zack driver for the 2. You then had Kenny going for it again, but Zack counting it into the triangle that you then had Kenny power bombing out of, back the other way. I just liked the way that was kind of like peppered in. So it didn't just hit it cold. It gave Zack something there. It showed that he could counter with the cradle, or he could counter with the submission as well. So it didn't totally soften, Zack as the opponent there. There was a couple of points in the match where I thought maybe the crowd lost it a little bit, and like maybe there was I think there was the bit after where he'd gone for the avalanche one-winged angel, and then Zack countered with a sleeper, and then Kenny sort of fell back off the ropes and landed on top of Zack.
The Vader Cactus Jack bump.
Yeah. I felt like the match lost its way a little bit then, kind of. It just felt like there was just a little spell where, I don't know if they were just calling something on the fly or something like that it just sort of went off a bit, and the crowds seemed to just sort of disconnect a bit around that time. But in the main, I mean, it's Zack Sabre Jr. and Kenny Omega. It's always going to be good. And again, I think there's a lot of value in the fact that they didn't try and do too much. They did just enough for what it needed to be for the match that it was placed at on the night. So, enjoyable.
I think like we said about like the main event or the third main event, they're all main events, but like the third main event, like it was that same struggle, wasn't it? Like anytime like Kenny got a bit of momentum, Zack was there to like sap it out of him. That was his role in the match, but they kept it on a much more basic level. It was like a much more miniature version of that, wasn't it? But also at the same time, giving Zack enough so that when Kenny does beat him, okay, that's a good scalp because Kenny's going for the world title next. Like I think they balanced that really well, and like I say, gave Zack plenty to play with there, but also, like I say, made it pretty much straightforward for Kenny. It was just a matter of not if, but when you could finally hit that one-winged angel, and finally, just because he's fucking Kenny Omega, power through all of Zack's mind games and all of Zack's, psychology, and clear, like, if this was a shoot, he's clearly, like worked on this Kenny Omega game plan for a while. He's clearly planned this out and knew how to counter everything Kenny has. But Kenny, at the end of it, is just too fucking good. Frustrating for Zack, but a strong win for Kenny. And I think that's the little story they wanted to tell. Like, I'd go 4 stars on it. I think that was, I think for the second match on the card in Forbidden Door, perfect for what it is. Could maybe go a touch higher, but yeah, Really enjoyed it, and wasn't a match that like this was the one a lot of people were pointing to on the marquee is like, okay, this is your big Forbidden Door match, and it wasn't. You can tell by where they put it, but it was there really to set up Kenny as a world title challenger, and yeah, I really enjoyed it as a bit of business for that, and just fun to see Kenny have something to sink his teeth into as a singles match too. So yeah, great stuff.
Yeah, it definitely felt like a big win for Kenny. Felt like Zach looked like a big enough deal. Coming out of it, I'm the same as you. I've gone 4 stars on this. So yeah, just a good bit of a business overall.
Kenny Ospreay.
What's that?
Kenny Ospreay. Is that where we're going?
Hopefully that's where I'm just hoping that Kenny works his way to title shot after MJF's gone through Mark Briscoe, and we get Kenny Ospreay at Wembley. That's the genuine dream match for that one, and it would be like again. It's
getting you in the car, mate. It's getting the wheelman behind the wheel.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm teetering on whether I was going to go or not in the week, but that Ospreay match has just made me think, don't be daft. Of course you're going to go, but yeah, it's.
Come round here, mate. We'll watch on the couch.
It's leading to some stuff on TV. The pair of them, like when they've been in the back, when they've been sat in the changing room or sat in the physio's room or something. Kenny and Will, like it just lends itself to just being that. So hopefully it is. The only thing about this match that I failed to mention was loved it when Kenny was going for the V trigger and he'd done his little gun motion and Zach just grabbed his finger and turned it into like an armbar or something like that. So again, I love that.
Thanks.
Of course he would.
Well, of course. Yeah, it's a shame with Zach that like you just get these little every now and again AEW appearances, or he'll do the odd ROH show or whatever again. Like, and he's never really gonna after that run on top in New Japan. It's probably not happening again for him. So like it felt like he just grabbed this with both hands. Like, all right, I've got a big match here with Kenny Omega. Still knowing their place on the card, but yeah, he wanted to deliver and he did. Loved it. Moving on from there, we have next up. Jon Moxley versus Bandido. Almost a shame we're talking this after the main event, but I'm still gonna say the same points I was gonna say. I thought this was utterly bizarre. I don't know about you. I'll get your take, but like for me, I enjoyed it. It was bizarre but enjoyable. But bizarre all the same. Like I still don't understand where we're going with Moxley. Like this was a match built around Moxley being a dirty but also condescending bastard. I don't know where I'm supposed to land on him. Like. To jump ahead, like straight away, like almost immediately in this match, like after the Bandido dive, we're on the outside. Moxley uses the steps, and it was funny when he's like, "Oh, sorry, apologies." Then he busts him open, then he rips his mask, then he pokes his eyes, and like he's going full heel to the point where like the commentary team are like uncomfortable because like fucking Walker Stewart doesn't watch AEW clearly, so Walker Stewart is doing like he's not getting that it's fine because it's Mox Memo. So he's going, yeah, that's the kind of man this fucking Moxley is. And he's peppering in lines throughout the comments like, well, whether you like him or not. And it's like, I think normally we're supposed to like Moxley, but I guess Walker Stewart knows that these are all very heelish things. And like, again, the story was that it was Moxley keeping it dirty. It was Bandido, for his part, coming back for what he is in the world, in the ecosystem of ROH, with the big false finishes, getting the death fire to kick out, the Spanish fly, a few bit moments in there. But like, at the end of it all, Moxley, after being this horrible, dirty bastard and getting the win because he's a horrible, dirty bastard, then shakes his little hand, the ROH champion's like, oh, good job, mate, good job. Oh, he's earned us, respect, say the babyface commentators. Meanwhile, Walker Stewart's just sat there like, I don't know what I just watched. And I still don't know what I just watched. I enjoyed it. But, like, what is this? What is Moxley? It's just bizarre at this point. And I think this was the best example of it, especially when in the main event, I guess he's a babyface, is he not? Helping Ospreay? I don't know, but, like, yeah. Enjoyment to get out of all of those moments. That's why I say it's bizarrely enjoyable. But still fucking bizarre. Like, I don't know what your take is on it.
He's just a man who pushes you to the limit to get the absolute maximum out of you when he's in there in the ring.
He pushes the maximum out of me. What reaction do you have to do? What do you want the crowd to do? Like, as a wrestler, like, I don't get it. Like, I don't know what he's trying.
It's bizarre. It is like you watching it and trying to piece it together one week to the next, depending on his opponent and the levels and things like that he's going to. And I was thinking, I genuinely really, really, really enjoyed this match. Like I absolutely
I did too, despite all that.
I love the aggression. I love the excitement. It felt like a proper fight that was going along with it. But yeah, it is mad when you're sort of like piecing those elements to
Richard's
together.
Max pokes his eyes afterwards as well. The fucking cunt. Because later in the show, Tekkla's doing that for heat. Like later in the show, like genuinely later, Tekla is doing that for heat and trying to get a heel reaction out of the crowd. Moxley's just like, here's your fucking mask. I'm gonna fucking show. He showed more of Bandito's face than I saw in those toilets in Manchester that time when he was just fucking walking around the show with no mask on, not asked. Like he just like me the other day, and I forgot to put my hat on when I came back on here. Like it was like that. He just forgot that he wasn't wearing his mask. Like, it's the juxtaposition of those two things. And as Sam would say in the chat there, yeah, Moxley getting to play babyface at the end of the night as well. It's just. He's Moxley. I think that's what Tony Khan says as well. I think that's exactly what this is.
Yeah, it's like wild, isn't it? Like poor Bandito. It's just like I've just decided I'm just going to take it to this level, like to you early on, like you know.
Also, pat him on the head going, all right, mate, well done. Code of honor. Come on.
You've earned my respect. Oh,
yeah. No, you should earn mine, you dirty bastard. Like that's what Bandito should be saying. But yeah, I mean, as a match again, though, like I can't say I didn't laugh at it. I didn't get lots of entertainment out of it, and like a self-contained story where I don't know if you had more on that. And again, Bandito, again, it's this bizarre situation where he's got the ROH belt, but like, has he really? And he's there to lose. Apparently, it could have been worse, mate. You only seen this was supposed to be Callum Newman, and that was the apparent original plan here. They were going to do Moxley and Callum Newman, I believe, in this spot. Don't know what the story was there. I guess it would have bled into the Ospreay stuff, and that was the plan according to Meltzer. And Bandito was the super sub, but you know he makes the most of his reps, doesn't he, when he's out there in matches like this?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, this was a downside better than it was ever going to be if Callum Newman was involved. So,
be a better story, I think. If it had been done more, I've got to be fair, I think it would.
Yeah. Well, it would, but as a match in isolation, I just proper enjoyed this. If I was just taking it for what it was of again, that level of aggression, that level of fight that was in there. I felt like Bandito was genuine. I know this is like story sort of thing, but I do feel like Bandito was genuinely taken to a level that I've not seen him being taken to before in AEW as well. So you know, if that's what the Mox character is trying to achieve, well, it worked. It worked here, but yeah, it was good. It was exciting. It felt like a proper, real fight, and you were like wondering where it might go to next. Maybe on this standalone nonsensical pay-per-view in the first place. Let's have a wild exhibition match. Heels and faces don't matter, do they?
Honestly. Jonathan Good needs to be stopped. John Moxley can carry on. I think that's my take out of this one. The real life man. But anyway, yeah, fun stuff. 3.5 to 3.75 range. Yeah, maybe I'd have to say 3.5 with my criticisms there, but I did enjoy it.
I probably enjoyed it more, like 3.75 to 4, probably for me in that territory. I got a lot of enjoyment out of it, big time.
Not the only awkward moment for Walker Stewart all night as well. Did you catch it? I don't remember what match it was. That Nigel one when, what did Nigel say? What did he, Walker said something on Monkey's Paw, and Nigel just didn't understand what that reference meant at all. It was just killed it dead, and Walker Stewart just never said anything else for about 10 minutes. He's got an awkward job on his hands on these shows, but he was useful for the next match, which was Shota Umino and Pac. And again, if we're going to beat the Forbidden Door concept down, I felt barely 30 seconds as well before this match started, because we're rushing through matches to get all these Forbidden Door matches in. Felt extremely low stakes going in as far as like Forbidden Door-y type 3 matches, considering what Pac is. But again, like an interesting match, I thought. I felt like there was 2 stories going on. One was like Shota Umino versus the audience, in which like a lot of silence between the moves for him on his side, because a lot of them didn't know who he was, and then he was just trying everything to get that reaction, a bit of fighting spirit. That didn't work. Trying to get them clapping like he's a Brit Res wrestler in the hall, that didn't work. And he was like, I know, I'll just fucking DDT him on the apron, and then that starts to work. And I think the meeting of that with like the other side of this match for me, which was Pac, which again, as much as going in, it's like, well, it's Pac, so of course he's there to lose, and he's not really a push commodity in AEW. He's always going to remind you how fucking awesome he is, with an awesome fucking swan dive moonsaults and stuff like that, which did wake up the crowd. And I was something for me in this one, like those 2 stories kind of converged with like that fucking just out of nowhere awesome bomb that Pac just decided to do to Shota, which I think worked for both of them. Like I fucking popped. It was great for Pac, and I think it was great for Shota, because like after that, And after all those other little mini sacrifices in the match, I actually think he got a bit of a reaction in the closing stretch, and I felt compelled by Shota Umino in a Shota Umino match. Not sure, it was, again, like the previous match, was it for the right reasons? I don't know. But he fucking survived an awesome bomb, Gareth, and I enjoyed that. And yeah, I still don't think, I mean, again, to be fair, did it earn its place as a Forbidden Door type match? Maybe not. Maybe not its length either. But like, as a bit of work and as a bit of like, just something to look at as far as like those two simultaneous stories going on, I got plenty out of it. And that's without even mentioning Pac's singlet. But yeah, how about you, mate, for this one?
No, I'm lower than you on this one, definitely. This was one where like I just Shota was just shit. Like he's just shit.
I had a soft spot for him. He was trying so hard to get a reaction.
Do you know what? Like even you go back to even like young boy days, and he was never like his young boy class. I think 3 or 4 of them were better than him around that time. I might be mixing them up in my head. Whether they came slightly after when it was your Reneritas and your Uemoras and things like that. Like there was always people who just felt like they had more about them. You know, I just think he's got negative charisma. He's just got negative aura. Like there's just nothing. He's a guy who's kind of almost. It's almost like pure cosplay Tanahashi feel to it, kind of thing. Of almost where they've tried to push him like down that route, but it's like he feels like a man who just needs his own identity there, and he just doesn't feel deserving to me of what Pac gave him in this match. Like, if you think about like Pac gave him that awesome bomb through the table, which was brilliant. He hit the 450. He put the brutalizer on him. He beat loads of so many people, and like he gave him all of those 3 things, and like no, doesn't matter. Kind of Shota still like came out at the end and got the win, and I was thinking like, God, he is so undeserving of the level there that you've allowed him to not be beaten with, kind of thing. It was almost it was getting into ridiculous levels of what was being done to him, but he still couldn't be beat. And I think the quality of things that he was doing himself, like Shota, there's nothing interesting about anything he does in the ring. Like in terms of like his move set, into like
his apron DDT is nifty. Come on,
his crowd work is just his non-existent facials and things like that. Like his poor selling. Like the lad has just got like absolutely nothing. And I was just watching what Pac was doing in there and just thinking like, God, Pac is levels and levels and levels above this guy. I was thinking, call an audible, put the belt on Pac, send Pac to New Japan. Pac could save New Japan here, push him to the top of the card over there. Because as well as those things, just stuff like that fucking big overhead release belly to belly that Pac hit from the top rope on him. Like, I was just like, that looked amazing. And then when Pac was just sort of like, he was like really arrogantly sort of bullying him and like just going about it, and then Shota was trying to fire up, and there's like it was like 1 bar heat to fire up kind of stuff. Like there just was nothing there for you to feel like I want to get behind this lad and have him come back. Like, if I never see him again, we talk about wanting to see more Shingo. Yeah, if that means I have to watch Shota Umino getting rammed down my throat, then no, thank you.
Poor lad. I just appreciated the effort, to be honest, but I had a good time regardless. But I do agree, like, the other half of the match is, like, you watch it, and I do think because of how it's utilised, like, I wasn't excited going in with Pac, and he's just always going to remind you, isn't it? The bell's going to ring. Like, again, no matter what, I don't understand the singlet, like, better looks, mate. He's got a fucking body like a Greek god. Why is he wearing, like, a 1980s singlet? Death Riders, whatever. They like to do fucking, they work hard on the necks and do push-ups, so he has to wear this, whatever. But, like, yeah, he'd remind you every time. Like, it's like, he's still packed, though, isn't he? Like, he's still fucking great, isn't he? And he was in this match. And it dragged me into it. It did, as well as, like, Shota's poor uphill battle. But I think he honestly had seen, like, a couple of AEW tapes and was like, all right, what gets over? No selling. He like, listened to Jim Cornette rather than watch the show and go, right, the no-sell stuff here, right? Awesome bomb. I'll take one of them. We'll do a DDP on the apron spot, and then I'll fight back and I'll win. And it did, to be fair, eventually get the crowd with them, but still, 5 minutes too long also is the other thing here, and yeah, it was, again, another sign that, in all seriousness, the Forbidden Door concept is on its last legs, so it's got to be said. Nice
to see Tanahashi pop down from catering, though, just for 5, just to say hello.
I did like that, like Moxley coming out and again paying off the old shooter stuff. They can go anywhere. Again, you could have just done that match because when else are you going to do that match? But anyway, but I like that. And like Tanahashi's fucking hobbling. That see the guitar they gave him? Like he paid like fucking. He's took loads of photos in his like big, get a better fitting suit. I feel like Ken Tanahashi in his big baggy suit, but like he didn't look great, dude. He's short hair, limping that. Like he used to not sell that limp, even though it was very clearly there in his active career, but or at least to the extent that he could. But yeah, very much selling it now, and yeah. Looks very much glad to be retired, I would say, at this point. At least
I bet he's got a few good scran of the weeks in his arsenal looking at.
Yeah, there is that. Yeah. God bless him, he earned it. And we love him, so fair enough. But there you go. That was a nice little moment. But yeah, from there, we have not much less to go, actually. Tekla versus Starlight Kid in the middle of the card. I very much enjoyed this. One of Tekla's better matches for me in AEW. I don't know if that's controversial. Bit of a 50-50 match compared to some of the other matches we have there. Might have gone maybe a couple of minutes too long for me, but overall enjoyed the story told here, Gareth. The shithousery and aggression of Tekla going after the card, of course, but also going after the mask this time for Heat versus Starlight Kid versus I imagine you would have been into the legwork of Starlight Kid. She looked a bit rough in moments in the match for me, but it felt a bit like maybe the mask work had turned into a shoot and she just legitimately couldn't see. Like there was that, that spot on the apron where she looked like she was going to do that body slam thing and she took about 3 minutes to hit it because I just think she couldn't see where she was. There's a couple of awkward moments like that. But overall, she looked good, and I like that, that balance of the aggressive dickhead heel and the babyface trying to do it through the power of wrestling. And yeah, thought it was a very enjoyable little match in the middle of the card that's got some of the better build out of these matches too. But what say you, mate?
Yeah, it was definitely we were like sort of back to business. I think after enjoying the Kenny Zack and enjoying the Bandido Mox match, having not been into the Shota Umino match, I think then this one, bounced back and just made me made me sort of got back on board with this. And I think it took a little while to get going. This one, I think sort of maybe the first, I don't know if it was the first half maybe, or the first sort of like 7 or 8 minutes felt a bit, I don't know, just didn't feel quite there. The crowd didn't feel quite with them. I think you got to that point during the match where it was where Tekla went on the outside and grabbed the Stardom President Okada by the tie and went to hit him, but then Starlight Kid sort of stopped her. That felt like then there was a change of pace in the match for then, and it just felt like things felt a little bit more meaningful from that point. I thought Tekla was just great here, just again from bullying him to then bullying Starlight Kid in the ring, just real arrogant covers and just the little things that Tekla just throws into a match, just the little details that she just thinks about that just makes her stand out from that perspective. Obviously, like you say there, Starlight Kid then turning the tide by going after the knee and working that into there. I think that was something that definitely felt like it worked. There's some things that I loved that sort of cross-leg fisherman suplex that Starlight Kid did. Again, I think whether it fits in with the limb work or not, but again, it just looked a bit unique and it just sort of it felt like it sort of fit into the right place there for the work that she'd been doing up for that time. But yeah, I think I'm with you in that there was bits throughout where Starlight Kid I was left feeling like, oh, okay, she doesn't feel like she's quite there for me. Compared to Tekla. Tekla just she just felt like levels and levels above.
And she like platters. She's just like there's something like you say. She throws in the little like stuff she does in the match, but also like she's a bit of a throwback because like we gimmicks on the Toxic Spider, so I'll do a fucking Tajiri thing and I'll walk around like a spider and like she just has like these just like 3 or 4 moves, doesn't she? Where it's like I'm upside down because I'm wacky and I'm Tekla, and that could be cringy for someone else, but like I think she really pulls it off. Like it's a bit of a throwback, but like. It makes things interesting when they wouldn't be, when she, like you said there, when the crowd go down a little bit and they're maybe not as familiar, are they, with Starlight Kid? Like, you can understand that lack of investment, but I think she fills those blanks really well, and I think that helps Starlight Kid too, and it did come time for it to hit that offense.
Yeah, and it's that it's that believability, isn't it? Because some wrestlers have. She's very good at making you believe that she actually is a bit of a maniac, isn't she? Kind of. So again, that's where some of those stuff there that might feel a bit corny, or how might actually they just feel like, no, this. She's just generally a bit of a loose cannon, this person, kind of thing. So it just sort of like bleeds into her entire wrestling character and wrestling, personality there. And it, again, I feel like I only sort of say that, like, when I'm talking about things I really like, I talk about physical, I talk about aggressive and things like that. But again, she looks real, and so many women's wrestlers don't look real, and that's their biggest detriment to them, is that they don't lay it in enough. And I think the ones who do are the ones that generally stand out. And I think over the course of the match, they've definitely got more. I felt like they got more familiar with each other and a bit more comfortable with each other. I know they've worked before, haven't they, in Japan? But again, I think there was just that. There was the sequence there that had where Tekla did that crossbody and got a 2 count, and she went for a spear, but Starlight drop kicked her knee that she'd been working on earlier, and then she was going for that numero dos, and then into the armbar and the body lock and the headlock, sort of with Tekla getting to the ropes there, and then hit that divine punishment there after that with the Tekla kick out at 2. That was just that was pieced together really nice there, that it tied into the work that had gone earlier. You had the high impact, you had the fact that it was a submission as well, that sort of led into that divine punishment as well. So it just layered together quite well like that towards the end. And it did throw an element of 1% of doubt into my mind about what the result was going to be, but not it was an outcome really. And I think that was probably half the problem.
It's probably got to be said as well, like, it's the 4th match. I think we've talked about the road. And the great thing is that they just gave Starlight Kid so much before eventually. She had to kill her 2 stomps, to do it. They even gave her a spear kick out. And it's like, maybe there's a part here. And then the AEW wrestler won. But, that's what PAC's there for. So, don't know if that evens things out or not. But, there was a lot of that across this show. But another example of it done well, I think. So maybe that was why it was forgivable in the moment. But, yeah, I really enjoyed it as a run-off for Tekla, and I just want to see Tekla. We said it before, but I kind of want to see Tekla versus Mercedes. It's just a shame they're both heels. I wish we were in a run right now where Mercedes was a babyface, because I'd just do that at All In. Like, that's your biggest match right now, isn't it? Like, in the women's division. Maybe they'll do it anyway, but, like, it is in a weird situation now, isn't it? That, like, these are the 2 top stars now, and it's 2 heels. I don't know what you do. 2 different belts, don't know.
Yeah, I never like heel versus heel.
Especially in a stadium too.
But I feel because was it heel heel versus heel, and it was Britt Baker against Mercedes at Wembley, or was it face versus heel? But it was just I was
going to use the example as Adam Cole and MJF, but that was babyface versus babyface, and all 70,000 of the bastards cheering for it still owe me an apology. But anyway,
this feels like one though. The idea of Tekla against Mercedes, I feel like they're both so good that whichever one decides to play baby on the night, we will get the crowd behind them as a baby face. Whereas I think that Mercedes Wembley match that was just awful, that the crowd didn't care about at all, sort of, that there was something missing there from a crowd connection point of view. But I think both Mercedes and Tekla are so good that they'll be able to engage and manipulate the crowd in the way that they want to manipulate them on the night to have the best possible outcome. I've got a bit of faith there. In an ideal world, you want babyface versus heel, don't you? But they're both so good. It's still a match I want to see.
Fair enough. Well, I'm going on from there. Again, I'm not sure myself. I think I almost want to see it now. I think I want to see, Mercedes maybe pay the babyface, and then you've got Tekla, who's, you can kind of, even if she's the heel, I think in a situation like that, because she's kind of fun, I think there's enough of the crowd that would kind of ironically pick up for her, and maybe that gets you through the match as well. But I think either could work to your point. But it's in a stronger position, the women's division, coming off this last 2 pay-per-views than it was before it, and now it feels a bit more anchored and a bit more centered with these 2 stars.
Is Toni Storm definitely out? Is she is
Still nothing official, but if it's what it seems like it is, like, then Probably, yeah. Unless it's just being kept quiet. Maybe that's part of it as well. It could be. Simon says he'll take an apology too if this will go, and he popped for Roderick Strong, hoping he's going to end things. Sadly, not. Yeah, I was popping for Aussie Open to end things right at the on the pre-show with Adam Cole and MJF. But yeah, other than that, in the post-match we had Julia Hart and Sky Blue. Obviously out there, Starlight Kid's mask removed as well. Enjoyed that too. Spitting on it and throwing it at Okada, who by the way was like great at just selling. She's barely brushing him. The selling in the match and here was fun stuff. So yeah, good bit of business all around. Was that one?
Yeah,
but,
it was just it was over the top selling, but it kind of needed to be, didn't it? Kind of thing. What's he gonna do? Just stand there and just get hit in the face with a mask, kind of thing. Like it showed the level of fear that he had for her, and like again, it just helps further cement that maniac status. I think that he's somebody who's had a run-in with her in the past, and even if she's just fucking batting a mask at him, he just wanted, I want to hit the deck, I want to be out of the way here, this fucking nutter, because I've got no idea what she's going to do, like from one moment to the next. So yeah, I had a chuckle, but I did enjoy that as well.
Great stuff. Well, moving on from there, this was almost the perfect segue, mate. We got a match with the dogs now. The dog must have heard that was coming with the dogs versus.
All right, it's good to hear that. Sorry.
It's all good. Spotlight listeners here are used to such sounds, but yeah, big fan of the dogs, as is Tony Khan. I was joking that somewhere. We have Cope and Christian versus the dogs here. I mean, we could talk about the match, mate. We could talk about Cope's fucking entrance with those fucking people, same as the Wembley people cheering and singing along and all that stuff. But I almost feel like we should start with the headline here, which is what came out of the match, which is the Bing Binging appearing and Jay White returning after more than a year away in the post match here too, looking like maybe he's been on the Gunther diet, but hopefully he's on his way back to fight and fitness. What did you make of that? And then we can get into the match itself. I think very clearly it's Jay White like bringing him back after all this time. It's like, well, this will make him comfortable, put him, let him work with his mates pretty much. And David Finlay's the perfect first person to take offense from him, the Blade Runner from him. I think that'll at least get him comfortable going. I'm not sure how where I'd slot Jay White in the overall AEW crowd, but it'd probably be above this in the card overall. Sorry, but yeah, thoughts on Jay White's big return, and then we can get into the tag match that also existed at this point in the middle of the card.
Yeah, it was weird because when like literally 2 minutes before the lights went out, I was just sort of, my mind was wandering and I was starting to think, I wonder when Jay White's back, kind of, and like legitimately it was like 2 minutes later the lights went out and Jay White was back, and I was like, oh, this is when he's back, kind of thing. And do you know what? Like you say there about the level that Jay White pitched at, and it did feel like before he went off, he'd managed to sort of like elevate how he was seen, I think, within AEW and certainly amongst the audience. I like the fact that he's returning at this level, because ordinarily, maybe years ago, Tony Khan wouldn't have been able to resist him making an appearance at the end of the fucking Kenny match or at the end of the Will Ospreay match or something like that, where you go, hang about, you've laid all this story out for several months, kind of thing, and just because a star is available, a new signing or a return, you feel like you've got to bring them back and showcase them right up against other stars, and then it ends up being a bit like, well, how are you going to shoehorn him into here? And we've debated that plenty of times of like, well, no, you've got what you're trying to tell here, sort of stick to your guns, and then you just have somebody skirting about on the edges and feeling like a bit less than because they haven't actually got anything that's written in for them to be involved in. This feels like actually, yeah, just to get him back, just to get him on TV, just to get him going in the short term, while the stories that you have been telling sort of run through and get towards sort of like the meat of what you're telling there. You do put him here because it's a natural fit kind of thing. He feels more than everybody involved on this screen, but he's got the natural history of being involved with them, so it makes obviously total sense. He feels like the leader of the Gun Club, Bang Bang Gang. Sorry, he feels like he does feel more than Clark Connors and feel more than like David Finlay as well. But naturally, there's that association there. So, you tell a story where Jay White beats these people and gets some wins under his belt and is upwardly mobile on the back of this feud. So it just makes total sense for me, you know, from that perspective, to drop him in right here. And as bang average as this match was as well, you know, thinking, you know, just to tie it back into the match as a whole, I think it served the purpose that it needed to be for what it was. You know, it didn't overstay its welcome. Like it was, you know, couldn't say it was too long. I mean, it existed for you, so Edge was on your telly, so that was too long for you. But like, the match was short enough for where it fit. You got a title defense under the belt for, you know, Cage and Cope there, as they work towards, you know, the bigger fish that they're looking to fry there. So again, it's like a notch there where you got the advancement of the Dogs and Guns feud, which has been underlying there with the bit of pepper.
That's a pub in Walton, mate. The Dog and Gun. You never go in there. Don't go in there, or they're a shandy, mate. They'll the Dog and Gun.
Go for a John Smith.
You used to play them in Sunday leagues. Said they were terrifying. I bet they were. They were called the Dog and Gun. I'm sure they were fucking scary.
Yeah, nice pint of John Smith's hotel is in there, I'm sure. And obviously you got the Jay White return peppered in on top of it. So again, not a match I'm ever going to watch or think about ever again for the rest of my life. But, you know, it was fine for what it needed to be, I think.
I've got nothing to bad it with a 3-star match that existed. Like, it was just formulated tag match, wasn't it? And they were opponents of the month. And I
got off the ring and worked, you know, fine. Did all what you'd expect. You know, teased some hot tags, got the crowd going. Yeah, that's just slotted in nicely as well before you got to the big three as well. So it meant it did feel like an acceleration. Then when you got to the Mercedes My World stuff that came after this, it felt more than what you'd seen before as well, kind of thing, which I think helped that match in particular.
Answer the question of why it was on the pay-per-view. I still wouldn't have done it. But, like, why was it on the pay-per-view? Well, it was to give Jay White his moment. Good to do that on TV. That's probably the thing I would have cut myself. But still nice to see Jay White back. And I am, you know, obviously, Steph's always in my ear. So, you know, I think I've turned on it, and Jay White over the years as someone I do want to see do well. And hopefully this is his proper AEW run. But we'll see. Quicker he can get away from at least get this feud out the way, and then hopefully move him on to maybe more in the upper card where I think he could do a bit more. But
needs to get in the gym. Needs to get in the gym with CM Punk, I think, and see ask him about a few protein shakes and things that he's been.
That's it. Maybe it was the black, maybe it was the outfit. Who knows? But yeah, it did look a bit slimmed down. But has been out a while, so we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, that's the show. I mean, any quick thoughts on the pre-show before we do an overall wrap-up and overall thoughts? Did anything stand out in the pre-show for you? It was 4 matches, wasn't it? It's again, that's the definition of match graphic, Tony, is just like, we've got this match in the pre-show and this match in the pre-show, and then they all get 6 minutes and get rushed in and out, and yeah, nobody in the crowd really cares that much. But hey, we got to see Drilla Maloney. I mean, him and Danny Garcia wasn't too bad, but yeah. Any broad thoughts on the 4 matches?
No. I've only got 3 written down here. I've missed one.
Oh, you're right. It's 3. I've made one up. Yeah, it was Drilla Maloney, Dan Maloney, Mike Escaplu, and Divide the Union, Thunder Rosa, and Olympia. Also, Jeff Jarrett versus Renee. It was great, mate. Jeff won. Would you believe it? Yeah, still TNA champion. Still this day.
Ain't he great? No, it's the as far as the pre-show goes with AEW, I thought it was probably up there, to be honest, for a buy-in for the, you know, the sometimes matches on there that you know definitely need being on there. I thought Drilla Maloney and Daniel Garcia, just as a standalone little match, I thought was decent enough. I thought it was weird that Garcia took about 90% of the match, and Maloney got the win, but he did get he got some good pops from the crowd, I thought. Old Drilla Maloney there. I think when he teased the Drilla Killer early on, that got a big pop, and then when he hit it, that got a big pop as well from the crowd there as well.
It did.
So a lot of benefit for him out there first, but again, it's him hitting a move that when with early on, you could tell a significant number of people in the crowd knew what he was trying to hit as well, so they were excited to see the move get hit. So I thought that was good, and it was a decent enough little match.
And Tony can say to Tanahashi, "See, we put another one of your boys over. It was on the pre-show, but we put another one over. Go on." That's why it existed, I think. But I want to fly him out for this though. I think I haven't got the card. If it's been, I assume he's on that G1 show in a couple of weeks or another week. I guess that's maybe why.
Yeah. I think the other match, obviously, there was the Micah Sky Blue match. Again, like it was. as a whole, I thought Sky Blue probably looked a bit better than she normally looks. She's not someone I'm particularly high on in ring, but she definitely, she definitely looked like she's taken steps towards improvement. I thought she was better in here. I thought Micah, again, was nothing to write home about at all. Like, I thought she was pretty bang average with what I saw with her here. Again, it was just, I don't know. People tell me how great all these Stardom wrestlers are, but two on this show didn't knock it out.
King of the Mountains will be listening. They're in the chat, mate. Don't take them.
Controversial. Kate's Cash, was it?
Yeah, fair.
And but the main thing for me, I thought the tag title match was good. Talked a lot about Divine Dominion needing proper opponents and needing to go up against some team. I think they now look and work like they're a proper team. They feel like they've been a thing for a while. Like this match, I thought like Olympia and Thunder Rosa went in there and gave them a good match really. Like from start to end, I think it was worked quite well. But again, it was clear, even though they threw in some like double team stuff between there, it was just clear, obviously, that this is just some, paired up for the occasion match there. And
100%.
They are just crying out for some opponents. I don't understand where all that brawling birds push, and then now all that TV time, and now it's just vanished from like it just doesn't even.
And when they are on TV, the singles wrestlers, what?
Say them previous pay-per-views, they've had separate matches on world title matches and things. They need to get the lasses back in their Union Jacks and get them out there, and because they could have a good 4 or 5 month feud with Divine Dominion here, because they'd put on decent matches as well, and then it would look like two genuine tag teams out there trying to be tag team champions, which again adds credibility to the belts also. So
I think unfortunately that's 4 or 5 months longer than Tony Khan has been interested in this AEW women's tag division. I think is the plain truth of it. But yeah, I thought that was fine. Like, I won't repeat your thoughts. I did, like I say, Drilla Maloney. Like, that was a big note. Like the finish it was like that standard screwdriver pop, wasn't it? Like, what the fuck have I just seen? Tanahashi will be like, come on, leave him, Tony. He's ours. He's like one of the little bright spots right now in New Japan. So yeah, good to see him get that little moment there as well. But yeah, outside that was the pre-show. What did you overall thoughts? Like, Forbidden Door is dead. Long live Forbidden Door. Like, everything on the show outside of Cope, I enjoyed. Like, there was something for me in and even in that, it was a solid tag, a joke. And I think obviously the Jay White stuff adds to that too. I got enjoyment out of everything. Like, and I think maybe the way we reviewed it today also has made me feel higher on it than I even did coming out of the show. But also the way I watched it did by splitting it up. I think it's still true it was too long. It's still true there was fat on it that didn't need to be there. It's still true that like a lot of the Forbidden Door matches weren't very Forbidden Door-y. But despite that, in isolation, I think pretty much everything on the show worked for me. Like, I can't say anything other than it was a big thumbs up show for me, and that's I think still those reservations are true. But like, yeah, as we talked it through, loads of enjoyment out of loads of stuff, and you get a main event like that, and you get the the women's own final as well, a match that good too. Like Kenny Zach even I'd include in that. Like, I can't say anything other than great show for me.
Yeah, really, really good, really strong. I think any time that you've got matches of the caliber of the two Owen finals on the card, it's going to elevate it where you had two moments that have got you genuinely off the edge of your seat, kind of really, really invested in what you see take place in front of your eyes. Like I say, that Ospreay Swerve match, I know it's going to be in my brain when we get to the end of the year and we're talking about match of the year contenders, like 100%. And then equally that Mercedes Mone Maya World match, it's just a match that's going to stand the test of time in my memory. You know what my memory's like, but I think if somebody says to me in 2 years' time, remember that Mercedes Mone Maya World, I will. I'll remember the story that they told. I'll remember what they achieved in that match. So I think that's something that again definitely stands out over and above. And like you say, the supporting matches there. There was definitely 3-4 matches alongside that I got a lot out of in different ways too. I think the lower stuff on the card, you're still looking in that kind of pretty much 3-star-ish territory as well. So overall, really good, really enjoyable. And is the Forbidden Door concept dead? I think I'd still agree with that on the basis that the 2 matches that we're talking about are AEW Owen Hart tournament finals that are AEW wrestlers, having those matches there. I enjoyed a lot about Bandido Mox. Again, that's an AEW match there. Kenny Zack was good, but that's because you've got a tippy-top New Japan guy and Zack Sabre Jr. in the ring, and unfortunately, there's just not enough of them about to pepper through into other matches along the way, really. So I don't. Maybe it's something that they need to go every other year with or something like that now, just to try and give it a bit of intrigue. Or I think, as JP was saying on one of the shows recently, maybe doing it in Arena Mexico or something like that, just to give it its own different feel or identity that feels a bit unique or something like that, that just changes the vibe of it or something like that. Because it just as a concept, it just feels it feels dead, really. The good stuff wasn't about a Forbidden Door, was it?
And again, I've beaten the horse, the patrons know over the last week or so on it, but I'll just say quickly, I don't think it has to be dead. I think a lot of it's the choices Tony Khan makes. I don't know if Callum Newman would have made things better or worse, but at least that's a degree of understanding on what's going on in New Japan right now. You had Yota Tsuji and Knockout Brothers to the show in prominent matches. I think it's a different conversation. You might still think it's on its way out, but I think you're like, it's on fumes. But if Knockout Brothers kill it with the Young Bucks and Yota Tsuji kills it with Kenny Omega or something, or whoever else, or at least has a good high level match, you go, all right, maybe you could do it again next year. Let's see who's ready next year. But clearly, to Tony Khan, this is the best you can do. You can put Shingo in a 6-person match. This is the best I can do. Sorry, Shota Umino, I guess I'll take him. So, if that's it, if that's the line for Tony Khan, I don't. What does next year even look like? Unless he does finally get some New Japan tapes from the last couple of years and realizes, what everyone's realizing about Knockout Brothers. I think it's got to be done. It's got to be, or it's a show called Forbidden Door in name only, and we just they're stepping that way, aren't they? Really, what do we get? The Japanese ring announcer outside of that, it's. You could take that away, and then it's just a show called Forbidden Door in it, and maybe there's a couple of New Japan guys on the undercard. Which is a shame, because I do think you could make more of it, but the ship's probably sailed now, unfortunately.
It feels that way.
Well, there you go. Unless there's more on that, outside of that, Tony had a presser afterwards. He was asked about, can you believe this guy do the big running on All-In weekend with a AAA show and an NXT show? I think that hurts them more than it does AEW. I don't know what attention they're going to draw away with a AAA show and an NXT show, but that's coming up. He did say it was the world's biggest compliment when that happens. Even Jim Crockett didn't have 2 shows running up against him. I enjoyed that quote. He didn't have too much else to say in the scrum, really, so it was pretty much just that. Outside of that, the only other stuff I was going to mention, other weekend shows, obviously we'll talk Slammiversary with probably with JP on the weekend show, and I'll find out if he's seen NXT too. I do know we watched whatever the Aussie show was at the weekend that we previewed on weekend show that I've already forgot, MCW Ballroom Ball, maybe, just a guess. I know he was watching that on the Grapple YouTube, so maybe we'll talk that too. And don't think there's much to say on the like I say, Night of Champions, me and Matty already talked on the pre-show. The Raw Fallout last night. If you want the Cliff Notes, they just undone everything that they did outside of the Sami Zayn win. Because, Obafemi, mate, I don't know if you heard that he won the King of the Ring and got a world title shot. Doesn't want it anymore. Just went, nah, I'll wrestle Brock Lesnar instead of SummerSlam. Don't need me title shot. So they just undid that entire thing. And then, instead of having Braun Breaker beat Seth Rollins and do something interesting with Braun Breaker, after Seth Rollins beat Braun Breaker, he challenged Roman Reigns for a match at SummerSlam. So we're doing Shield Raw. How many years later? 14 years later now? We're still going. We're still doing it.
Bring back Mox,
Honestly, Mox, stay away. But maybe I'll get Matty's updated thoughts on some of his positivity from the pre-show yesterday. But you can still hear that.
Play out, mate. Play out.
I think that's the thing. When it does play out, it'll be like, oh, well, what do you want? What do you want? It's not miracle workers. All right, fine. But I'll look forward to that conversation, maybe on a live next week with Matty. Maybe I'll catch up with him and find out what his thoughts are. I've already seen him. He's been on Discord today, raging about Jey Uso and Gunther. So the more things change, the more they stay the same. But outside of that, what else can we plug, Gareth? The quiz, people haven't heard it already. Mixtape at the weekend. Retro and Steve Tro coming out soon too.
Yeah, we're just lining up to record both of those. It's the episode 25 of Retro, so we're trying to do something a bit different or make it a bit bigger or something like that. So we've just been chucking a few ideas out there. It's a bit of a
I'll
landmark.
be there. Don't worry. It's sound. I'll be there. Sound. What are we talking? Shawn Michaels or? That's fine.
Definitely but yeah, it feels like a bit of a landmark, that one. And then I think we've said before the next episode of Steve. Obviously, we're talking about June of 1996. So I think something big happened for Steve Austin in June 1996. I think so. So pay a visit to the old King of the Ring.
Look forward to listening to that genuinely, and I'll look forward to retro as well. But like I say, check out the quiz, folks, if you haven't already. Thank you for joining us for this spotlight. I'll be back on the Patreon with JP for the weekend show. I think it's a Friday one, but don't hold a Thursday against me as well. And then, like I say, mixtape on Sunday. But as always, thank you to our live patrons for tuning in. Thank you to our live YouTube members for watching along live with us. And as always, thank you to our Patreon kings and queens of the mountain, Coral Laughlin, Eddie Sarburns, Chris Platt, Carl Gack, Sophia Hitchcock, Sam Mulvaney, Marty Ellis, and Dylan Shaw. We'll catch you all again on the next one. Good night, all. Can you believe it? 25. See ya.